as far as I understand, your position repeatedly in the response to people's criticism of you was that they don't understand your position and that they're misconstruing your argument. So maybe it would be better if you first download your perspective on this, and then we can talk about it. Because, yeah, I mean, you said repeatedly to me in the conversation that I don't understand your position. You're going to explain it to me, and then I'm going to agree with you. So why don't we just get that out of the way, and we'll figure it out right away if I agree with you or not.
All right, sounds good. So the argument that we were having was over. Can we agree to maybe a couple things? The argument we're having was over a tweet, or I tweeted out um, about voting that I quote tweeted, and then you had sent out a tweet saying, "Yeah, Andrew Wilson's position is, well, migrants can go ahead and rape them." I'm not trying to straw man your position, but just want to make sure we're on the same page. That's what we're arguing about, so I can give you the context for it.
Yeah, I suppose that's fine. Obviously, if you want to establish the context of the tweets.
So I quote. Yeah, so that tweet was a quote tweet, right? And just nobody read the quote, and I don't know why. The quote tweet, I was quoting a woman that I had debated before, who essentially blames all of the kind of situation of bad behavior of women on men. That's her. That was basically her position. Again, I can't dive into an elongated version, but that was her basic position. Yeah. Well, in this tweet that I quoted, the thing that I was responding to, which I posted, is the part where she says, "It seems like the boots on the ground revolution against migrant crime will be led by the ladies who have learned the hard way no one's coming to save them, not their fathers or brothers, not the men of their community, not the state. They are already in the thick of the battle while the men are still living in fear of the state. When men aren't willing to risk the wrath of the state to protect their daughters, then their daughters must carry that burden themselves because the only other option is death by migrant gang rape." So it's my view that she's trying to shift the burden of responsibility for this happening purely to men, which I knew that this was coming. I put a tweet out earlier, which showed a graphic that they had put out that basically said men aren't going to do anything, so I guess we'll have to do it ourselves. And that's what I was responding to. And this was completely misrepresented as me saying that I'm defending migrants and want girls to get raped, which is fucking insane. I have no idea why anybody would ever take that position unless they were trying to misrepresent what I was saying. So, that's my position.
So I didn't get that at all from Philosophicat's post. I think that I don't know. I don't obviously follow you that closely because, frankly, I don't really give a shit what OnlyFans sluts and feminists have to say about anything. And nor do I really care to listen to discourse between, them and the people who want to argue with them. Although, of course, I've seen some of your clips and yeah, they can be funny and haha, dunk on the stupid OnlyFans cunt. But in this case, Philosophicat is not a feminist. She's pretty traditional. And from what I've seen from her, she's never really been hostile towards men. But I think this
Are you aware that I did a 3-hour debate with her on it?
On this specific topic?
Well, it was on the topic of men, her claim that men are essentially responsible for the kind of West falling, and it's their fault that women are acting out. That was her position, yes.
I mean, I fundamentally agree with that perspective, and I think I'm not a feminist, obviously, but it's precisely because I'm not a feminist that I agree with her argument. I think ultimately we're in this position because men have shirked their responsibility. And if you believe in hierarchy and the hierarchy of men over women, if men begin shirking their responsibility, then it's going to have a negative effect down the chain. And the only way to reestablish that harmonious hierarchy is for men to reassert themselves, take the position and leadership back, and then establish dominance again. And they're not going to do that by asking for it from women or demanding that they submit. It's going to be done through action. So,
like what? Like what action?
Well, men have to begin organizing themselves politically. So this is
to do what? Yeah, but to do what?
What do you mean to do? Organize themselves politically so that they can reassert and take their countries back. Now, I think the fundamental.
So wait. So are women going to let you organize and take take the countries
I don't
back, or
care.
are you
I
gonna?
don't care if they're
You're
going
right.
to let.
You're gonna use. So you're gonna use force, right?
Yeah, of course we are.
Of course you are. So then you would as agree with the essential doctrine of force doctrine, then, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So then the very idea here is that migrants are in the UK and they're using force to take the country, right?
Correct.
That's the idea. So then are they taking their rightful place as the head of the hierarchy then?
I mean, if you believe that might is right, I suppose so. But, you know, the only people that can oppose them is British men in this situation. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think like I want to establish part of this because I think it's fundamental to this debate, which is you're not a nationalist, are you? I mean, you go by Christian nationalist, but to me, that's just kind of a nonsense term. You're a Christian, right?
What does that have to do? That has nothing to do with this
It has
position.
everything to do with this discussion.
No, it's just a red herring. So,
No,
do you
it's
want to
not a red herring.
argue? Do you want to argue about the thing that we're arguing about, which
I'm
is this
going to
tweet?
address it, but in order to put this in context, to put my perspective in context, I need to address the nationalism versus anti-feminism discussion.
Okay, well then let's start with what a nationalist is then, from your view.
Well, a nationalist is somebody who puts their own people, their own nation as the foremost important lens by which they view all problems. So
Would this include a supersession over God?
I'm not. I believe in folk over faith. I don't care what religion you know my countrymen choose to adhere to. It's not my place.
Yeah, but if they put the hierarchy, I guess, at God, country, are they still nationalists? Is what I'm asking.
I mean, most Christians would do that, of course. God, country.
Yeah, so then, yeah, so then you would consider them nationalists.
A Christian can be a nationalist, but the term Christian nationalist is a nonsense term. It's a paradoxical term. Nationalist refers to ethnicity in terms of it refers to a shared blood history, a shared ethnic history. The root of the word is nadia, meaning of the blood or of the land or of the nation. And
Okay.
so this idea that you're going to have a nation based, a nation of blood based on shared religious doctrine is, to me, a nonsensical term. I don't care. Like, people want to identify that as that, fine. I think it's a stupid term, but I also think civic nationalism is a stupid term. And I think ethno-nationalism is a stupid term. You know, for all the stupid things that Ben Shapiro says, one thing that he did get right was that anything that requires a prefix to be added to the, to it, is basically just a dilution of the original form. So I just use nationalism, and I'm referring to obviously blood nationalism or ethno-nationalism when I use it, which is the bastardized version of it. But the reason I bring this up isn't because I want to, get into, whether or not Christian nationalism is a valid thing or not. It's that when I see this problem, I don't look at it as, oh, this is women getting what they deserve, or this is, women's chickens coming home to roost, or now they're going to have to lay in the bed that they've made. I look at it as, these are my people and they're suffering and we have to stop this. And I don't care if, women voted badly in one or two elections, or if they have a habit of being bleeding heart liberals, or even, frankly, if the woman in question was somebody who has advocated for refugees. I don't care. It's not right, and it needs to stop. And the only people who can stop it are organized men. So instead of bitching about what women have done or haven't done, or what they should or shouldn't do, men could maybe start asserting themselves again and prove that they're actually worthy of being leaders and submitted to, and actually address this very real, very pressing, very current problem, which is women are getting fucking raped and assaulted in the millions in Britain. So I don't care if you think that
can I respond now?
Sure.
Can I respond? Okay. So I just have a couple questions for you. Do you believe in the enfranchisement of women?
Like women's suffrage?
Yeah.
Or political rights? No.
Yeah. No. Okay. So then, when you ascertain people group rights, in this case, I understand what you're saying, that a nation is based on the blood of its people, blood and soil, essentially, something akin to this, right?
Sure.
If you want to have enfranchisement of women, then they're going to take up. I mean, in many cases, they outnumber men, but they take up half the electorate. So, how do you propose when you say that you propose that men organize? You're actually saying that they need to organize and by force take away the enfranchisement of women, right?
Yes.
Okay, well then just to make sure that we're clear, right? If they do disenfranchise women, they take over the electorate. Women can no longer vote, essentially. Um, what's stage two here?
Stage two, as in we disenfranchise women, and that's the end of it. Like
Well, I'm just asking. I'm asking. Do you think that men then
First
will
of all,
vote to?
I don't believe
Yeah. Do
in
you think
voting,
that?
period.
Yeah, I understand, but right now that is the system. So if you're advocating that
Sure.
we advance on the system, dismantle it, take away the enfranchisement of women, and take away women's suffrage and women's rights, which okay, that's fair enough. I'm just asking, do you think that then, after that's done, that men, of course, if they were in a voting system, would likely vote to get rid of the immigrants and would push to get rid of the immigrants?
Well, no, not currently. They wouldn't. We know that's not true, or at least it's not true in the sense that it's strong enough to have a majority. Maybe
Well,
some
no,
of them are.
if it was only men voting, they would 100% in the United States, Canada, UK,
No,
everywhere they would basically vote it out.
it's possible, but it depends on when you say the immigrants out, it depends what you mean. So like I can do this for Canada. Obviously, like I'm not sure what the respective numbers would be in each country, but in Canada, yeah, like 70 something percent of people want reduced immigration, and like 50% favor deportations of some degree or another. But if you mean
Sure.
remove all, people who are not of the blood of the nation, that number is going to shrink to something drastically small. So
Yeah, I agree with that too. But they would still do a lot more to be curtailing the immigration problem if it was only men who were enfranchised. Is what I'm after.
I don't know that. I mean, yes, that's probably true to some degree, but for example, in America, don't the majority of white women vote Republican?
Well, they vote where how their husbands vote if they're married.
Okay,
So
well,
that's why. But as the marriage rates decrease, you'll probably start seeing that less and less.
and this is also true in the United. I don't know how familiar you are with United Kingdom's politics and electoral history, but I mean, since the 1960s, the British people have voted consistently against immigration, and they haven't gotten it from their government. In particular, over the last 15 years or so, all
Yep.
5 elections, that went to the Tories were, very strongly on an anti-immigration, vote. And they kept promising and they kept not getting it. And the only reason now that the Labour is in power in the United Kingdom is because people got so sick of the Tories not following through on immigration that they split the vote between the Tories, Reform, English Democrats, and 100 other right-wing micro parties. And that allowed the Labour to take, the majority of the vote and seize power. So like this perspective that if women didn't vote, it would be over. Maybe it would, but women voting hasn't prevented, people. It's not like they're not voting against immigration.
They're not. They're not by and large. Like even
Well,
if you look at the last vote,
maybe they're
even if
not by a super majority
yeah,
or by a lot, but
not even usually by a majority.
but I just gave you an example. In the United States, Republican women or sorry, white women, the majority of them vote Republican. So it is a
Well,
majority.
that's not the majority of women. So
Right, but
it's
I
like
don't care. See, this is why I brought up the nationalist perspective, because I don't care what women outside of my own nation want or vote for. I don't like that.
but they are in your nation voting.
Yes, they are.
So I guess my counter
But
my
I'm not
counter
going,
here is that,
Andrew, I'm not going to blame the vote of minority women in my country who I don't think should even be here to begin with and then, you know, punish the white women who the majority of don't want these people in our country for the actions or for the vote of that minority. Why would I do that?
Even if it was this majority of white women who were crafting said legislation, for instance.
Sorry, say again.
Even if it were those women, that very group of white women who are in the majority who are crafting the various legislation for this.
If you want to talk about individual groups are responsible for crafting this kind of legislation and lobbying for it, let's get into Jews.
Yeah, there are some Jews who do that. Yeah,
of course, there's a lot of Jews that do that.
Sure,
I know it's
a massive overrepresentation, but this is a red herring again.
So you want to blame women for their involvement in, you know, crafting immigration policy and say they bear the lion's share of the burden for it, and then you want to ignore the people that actually are disproportionately represented and actually are systematically engaging in that kind of policy.
I'm not ignoring it. I just conceded. I literally just conceded the point. What do you mean?
Okay,
what are you talking about? How do I concede the point and then you want to keep arguing the point? I'm just saying that you can't defer away. If the case is that you want a violent overthrow of the government of your nation,
I didn't say violent, right? I've never said violent.
Well, how are they going to take it? How are they going to organize and take it back by force?
Force does not necessarily mean violence. It can mean the threat of violence, but
how would it mean it in this context?
In this context, I'll give you an example. Yeah. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So
okay.
A couple weeks ago in Australia, 150 quote unquote Nazis did a march. Now, if you're familiar with this particular organization, they have done marches like this before, and they have repeatedly been subjected to attacks from the state through, you know, the mechanism of law enforcement. Now, this time they were out in numbers that, you know, previously they had never been over 100 when it came to these kind of marches, and now they've reached 150. So now all of a sudden the police wasn't able to do anything about it, and they had to just watch and follow as these men with impunity walk through the streets of downtown Melbourne and, you know, exercise their political rights. That was a demonstration of force without using violence.
So your organization for force would be to get men to march through the streets to disenfranchise women?
Well, that's a demonstration of force. If you can mobilize 150 men with impunity and just occupy a space physically, you are demonstrating that you have the force to occupy.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is how is it when you say that men should organize in order to use force to take away the rights of women to vote, right, and things like this? When you say organize them, are you just talking about they're going to go on street marches? Or are you talking about something else?
No, I'm talking about
organizing. I'm not asking you to Fed post. We're talking in abstracts here. Like abstractly, if this was the case.
I don't have to Fed post at all. This is the bulk of what I do in terms of activism and, you know, political engagement. So I'm a proponent of things called active clubs, which is essentially, you know, men getting together and forming organizations that are going to look out for their collective interests and the interests of their people. Now, my particular organization in Canada has, I'm not going to get into exact numbers, but in the hundreds of members. And the purpose of it is to pool resources, be able to share information, to bolster each other, to improve one another, and get to the point where we can start projecting power into other aspects of society through our collective will. So,
yeah, but how are you going to take the right? We're just always going to kind of come back to the same question, right? How do we get to the point where women become disenfranchised from voting in these mass migration policies? Now, maybe you only care about the interests of white women, right? I understand that, but they're not the only ones who are enfranchised. It's all women are enfranchised, and they don't see everything through the lens of racialism the same way that you do. And so they often collectivize in their votes. They often collectivize in their votes for the purposes of power dynamics. How would you entail that you were going to utilize force, though, to do this? So my counter is, I think that you can't do that. I think you won't be able to. Right, I think that the descriptive, hang on, let me finish the position. I think the descriptive truth is that you're never going to be able to do mass organization, have men march to the streets to non-violently, without any force, or at least applied violent force, take away the rights of women. That's not going to happen, at least descriptively. But what can happen is a form of accountability. So women are the easiest. They're the easiest to propagandize. That's why those white women mostly vote with their husbands. They're the easiest to propagandize. And it's not just them, by the way. It's most of these demographics. The woman will vote alongside of her husband. And so because of the easiest propagandized, that's where I would start with the idea of the removal of suffrage. And part of that's going to be accountability. Marching in the streets isn't going to do that. Go ahead.
All right. So what's your solution? Talk to I want like you. So we've gone through my solution. I've said what I'm doing in terms of real world organization and trying to get men together and actually be active within their communities to some reasonable kind of political force. What is your solution?
Yeah, but I'm not, well, first of all, I'm not attacking that.
No, I'm genuinely asking you. Okay, you disagree.
I'm talking from the micro to the macro.
You disagree with the validity of my approach. Well, I'd like to hear your approach about how you're going to disenfranchise women.
Yeah,
Is it by talking to another girl on the whatever podcast?
Yeah, so that accounts for 2% of my content, and I've debated with the best debaters in the entire world. They've gone viral everywhere. You're only familiar with this one space, which is why you're harping on it. That's one style of debates that I do. Sometimes
I'm familiar with the Crucible, Andrew. I've watched a few of those debates.
So I would start. Yeah, so I would just start with this. I would start with the idea of what do we have that's already collectivized that we can mobilize politically? Well, on the right, there's really only one thing, and that's religious institutions. That's the only thing that is actually collectivized. What is not collective, whiteness is not collectivized. Nothing, in fact. The institutional power on the right has been lost in academia. It's been lost in almost every institution except one. And my demonstration and proof of this, we can see what happened when they boycotted like Bud Light, for instance, and things like this. And during COVID, when churches resisted, when most other establishments didn't resist, right? The lockdowns and this and that. That's the only place that I can see that already has ground laid infrastructure, which can be collectivized. And I know this because liberals and progressives have billions of dollars in NGO funding going towards subverting those institutions constantly. So that's where I would start, is there.
So have you done that?
Yeah, of course. That's what do you think the propositions of Christian nationalism are? It's the idea of collectivizing people who share Christian ethics in order to mobilize for political action. That's the point.
Well, I look forward to the great Christian revolution.
Well, I look forward to the great, Million Man March, right? But the thing is like when you're talking about infrastructure.
I don't know how many men you have. I have hundreds.
Well, Christians have, like 60% of the country.
Those aren't yours.
No, there's a shared ethic. There's a shared ethic.
What is there? 1.5 billion Christians and a billion denominations.
That's true, but they have a shared ethical foundation, just like Muslims do. So the thing is that's interesting here is like for the collectivization, my demonstration would be things like let's take Roe v. Wade. Christians spearheaded that even from all different denominations because of the shared ethics system. So there is still a glue which is left on the right that is still ripe for collectivization. And that would be the mechanism in which I would use to move after these other higher goals, like the removal of immigration, bypassing universal suffrage and things like this. And by the way, those are actually baked into Christian ethics. The idea in Christian ethics of patriarchy, the idea in Christian ethics of the traditional family, anti-LGBTQ, they're already baked in. So that's where I'd start.
I fundamentally, obviously, have to oppose Christian nationalism because it is in direct conflict with ethno-nationalism for obvious reasons. Sure.
But there's a shared ethic you can have with them too, that you could compromise on, which would be cultural nationalism.
There is with some, but the problem obviously.
Well, cultural nationalism. is the link that you would have between the two. So if the cultural nationalist says, I only want people who share culture, and it just so happens that most of those people who share culture are white, don't you now have a shared interest with them?
Cultural nationalism is, again, that just sounds like civic nationalism, which again is not really much better than Christian. It is no better than Christian nationalism.
Well, it's not. It's not like civic nationalism. Civic nationalism is an idea that if you're a citizen of the nation, that there's this like melting pot idea that there's magic dirt. You kiss the magic dirt.
I'm very familiar.
Now you become.
I'm familiar with civic nationalism.
But cultural nationalism is what most people had. The idea was this, that it is true that you need to have, some kind of homogeny going on somewhere, but there also has to be some type of cultural glue that keeps people together. Something, the Norse had the Norse gods, and I would say that culture is downwind of theology, and so the idea
I think culture is downstream of race. I think this is
okay. Well,
when you say so, this is a perfect example. Yeah. Let me go. You've gone for a bit. Let me go ahead. You just said that culture is downstream of theology. Well, explain to me why there is so much cultural difference between Christians in the Congo and Christians in Scandinavia. If culture is downstream from theology, the Congo, which has been Christian for 100 years, and Scandinavia, which has been Christian for 1,500 years,
well, Ethiopia is Ethiopia is an even better example.
Sure.
So I agree that there's going to be things which are genetically ingrained in people and their environment, which will activate certain behaviors. But that doesn't mean that their culture is still not informed by this other thing. It doesn't mean that they would be exact. An example of this would be this. Do you think that, like let's say Romans had at some point adopted all the Norse gods, and abandoned their gods, right? Wouldn't you say that their culture would look super different than it looked when they adopted Christianity? Wouldn't you say that that was the case, even though there's much more of a shared genetic heritage there?
I don't know. This is a really that's a pretty. I
mean, it's just obviously yes, right?
No, it's not
obviously the case.
It's not obviously yes, and the reason why is because the pantheon of Norse gods is much more similar to the pantheon of the Roman gods than Christianity. But in the Roman, adaptation of Christianity, they obviously put a lot of the culture of their previous religious and religion and theology into those gods, which is why the Roman Catholic Church has patron saints, which are, they're basically demigods. It's a deified version. It made the transition much easier from a pantheon of many gods to, one god. So,
while I would disagree,
I don't know if it would have been vastly.
It's going to look vastly different, because you can see how the culture looks different in Japan when you introduce Christianity versus Buddhism. Like you can see distinctions in culture begin to be emergent. And so even if people had Christianity, but under cultural nationalism didn't share the cultural values, right, then you would reject them. Being Christian wouldn't be enough. There'd have to be cultural identity. So it seems like you have a lot in common with people on the cultural nationalist side, whether you think so or not. And the idea here, but the idea here, I don't see how you don't. I don't see how you don't.
I don't care if an Indian comes here and they sound like they're from Alberta and they like watching hockey and they drink maple syrup by the fucking gallon. I don't care if they're culturally similar to me. They're not Canadian. I don't want them here.
Yeah, but if you could pick,
I don't care if they're Christian or they're Hindu.
Yeah, but if you could pick between these two groups, right? And cultural nationalists have the same choice, and they pick the most culturally assimilatable group, and they had to pick between like Denmark and Ethiopia. The cultural nationalists are going to select Denmark, and the ethno-nationalists are going to select Denmark. So it does seem like there's common ground there.
Well, of course there is, but they're going to choose Denmark because of racial reasons, and because you don't want to admit that it's racial, so you're relying on cultural as an fine. Whatever.
I just said the race. There's a racial component to it. I've never denied it. Where are you getting that?
Okay, well then I don't know why are you.
So I don't even know where I don't know where
I
you're
don't
getting
know
at.
why
Well,
you're
I never
fighting.
was fighting you. You were the one with the big criticisms for an out of context tweet when I was explaining that I think that the only way that you could basically the idea is accountability for women. And if you and I share the same goal, so for me, I have it even better, or maybe you share this too, that I would prefer disenfranchisement of most people. I don't think most people should be able to vote. But if we're talking about collectivization for power, there's one inroad here I have that you don't, that's collectivized, that we can already see has great political power, which is the church. And so it's like it seems like
It's
your criticism
no,
of me and what I'm saying about women and accountability, I don't even understand it really.
but the issue, Andrew, obviously, for somebody from my perspective, which is a rapidly growing one in the entire, well, Western world, but particularly in the Anglosphere, is that the church, there's not a single, let me put it this way, there is not a single church in this country that would accept me if they knew my political views. And there is not a single church in my country that would not accept any brown foreign invader that showed up on their doorstep tomorrow like they're one of their own. So no, I'm not going to be able to work, with some kind of Christian-based movement or something that puts that as the most important priority or their guiding principle, because there's not a single institution that actually is amenable to my worldviews when it comes to modern Christianity. The Catholic,
Oh yeah,
we can go through.
Pastor Anderson's not amendable to your position, really?
I'm not.
Pastor Anderson
I'm
is
not
not
familiar.
amendable to your position.
Is he American?
Yeah, Jared Taylor not amendable to your position. Like, come on, man. Yeah.
Hang on. I didn't say that there were no Christians. I said that there were no Christian institutions.
And I just gave you an institution, a church.
What is a single church that exists in America? I'm Canadian.
Okay, but here's the thing. You say, well, right now, to exercise political power, hundreds of men, right? That single church probably has hundreds and hundreds of men. And it's like I reject, first of all, that there's not even a church for your political persuasion, whether I agree with your political persuasion or not. But even more important than this, I still don't even understand the criticism. Obviously, women need to be held to account for the things that they vote for and that they institute, right? They have to be held to account for those things. And if we're talking about collectivization to do that, it seems like I have a mechanism for that, and you just objectively don't.
Your mechanism is Christianity.
Well, no, my mechanism is not Christianity. What did I say my mechanism was?
Like you just said,
it's the collectivization of the institutional power of churches. It's not just about Christianity.
So Christianity.
Yeah, but do you understand the political proxy versus the religious proxy?
No, I understand. You're arguing that the church has political power, which I don't disagree with.
But yes, so if that's the case, and they can exercise. Hang on, almost done, and then I'll let you go, and I won't interrupt you. It's the case that through collectivization of the one institution left on the right, who's in the most agreement with my views, right, which is to hold these people accountable for the things that they're doing, why wouldn't I make inroads with that? Why would I instead try to reinvent the wheel? How's that not just objectively silly?
Because these institutions are so corrupted that the process of the amount of it's the same as the political institutions in this sense. So you said that the institution of churches is a good vehicle for you to advance your political agenda. Am I putting words in your mouth, or do you agree with that?
I guess you could make that a basic argument, sure.
Okay, so you want to use the vehicle of the institutions of Christianity to advance your political agenda. And the problem with that is that what is the largest Christian institution in the world? It's the Catholic Church.
That's correct.
Does the Pope agree with you that women should be disenfranchised?
Well, the thing does
the Pope agree with you that immigrants should be deported? Does the Pope agree with you that gays should be what? Does he agree with you?
Well, here's the thing, though, right? Even if the Pope doesn't agree with anything that I say, the Catholic Church is a massive regional power, with very powerful bishops, very powerful priests, very powerful megachurches because they run off of money like everybody else. The Pope himself, as the figurehead, often doesn't even get too involved in localized politics when it comes to these things. He makes some generalized statements and this type of thing. But when it comes to political excess of power, the Catholic Church was definitely on the forefront of getting Roe v. Wade overturned. They were definitely going at it extremely hard and backed that up. The Pope himself, though, didn't hear much from him on that. So you're talking about, the thing is just pointing at the head of the Catholic Church saying he doesn't agree with anything. We're talking about a massive regional political organization. Seems to me like it's kind of a straw man. A bit.
It's not, though, because you've given me one example of where Catholics, despite the Pope's involvement, or by the way, the Pope is against abortion, so I don't even know why this is like a controversial statement.
Well, the thing is,
like that's not a win for you in this. He wasn't vocal about it, but the Pope is obviously anti-abortion. So, like, why do you think that?
Well, because I'm not sure that all popes are anti-abortion, even if they're silent about it.
Let's use a different example. There are many religious organizations in the United States, in particular, that are facilitating the invasion through your southern border. Now, many of them are.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And the chief amongst them is obviously the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And then the next biggest organizations facilitating it are what? They're Christian. They're Catholic. They're Christian. They're Lutheran. They're Protestant. There's tons of them. Who is sending our people in these
hang on.
The problem, to build schools and facilitate migration and to do all? They're Christian. So.
Yeah, the problem with this is that
your vehicle is already
in
the civil war. You are in a civil war against your own institution.
So is yours. Yeah, so is yours.
So why do you think that your vehicle?
But mine has actual political clout, moxie, and infrastructure, along with billions of donors.
What, to serve?
At least hundreds of millions of donors. No, they don't serve Israel. Catholic Church
doesn't serve Israel.
Do you know what the Catholic Church dogma is about Israel? And when you're talking about John Hagee and you're talking about dispensationalists, that's being fought against. That's the civil war you want to happen. That's the one that you're wanting to happen. And that's what's happening. The anti-Zionists from the traditional church branch are saying, no, that's not what Israel means. It's not what Zionism means. So that's what you want. That's the civil war portion you would want.
There's 100 million evangelicals in the United States, and 90+% of them are Zionists.
No, they don't. No.
Yes,
that's categorically false. Dispensationalism is followed, I think, by about 20 to 30%. So, and those are under the megala pastors, but most of them actually don't have that theology. They don't. Either they have replacement theology or other theology. So that's just wildly inaccurate. But even if I were to grant it, that would still be the civil war you wanted, and that would, at least within the church, and also it would still grant the vehicle for political change. You giving the criticism that this organization is so big that it's actually at war with itself over the theology, right? Actually is saying that it's in a position to even do that. You're in the same type of kind of civil conflict within a secular ethic, but you have no vehicle from which to launch it. So I don't know what this criticism is, man, but it falls flat on its face. You're in this. We're building our own. I understand that. Yeah, I understand you're trying to build your own vehicle, but it seems way more logical to me to advance the vehicle that's already entrenched. So.
Fine. Fair enough. To draw it back to the original point of this discussion, though, which is, should women be forced to bear the brunt of the decisions by some of them? I don't know where we land on this, but to me, the answer is obviously not. And you don't even disagree with that. You've already said that obviously this girl shouldn't be subjected to this, and who should defend her other than men?
Yeah. So wait a second. But that's not what the post was about. The post wasn't about hang on. My post response had nothing to do with whether or not some fucking crazy lunatic was attacking a girl and men should step in and take care of that problem. Of course they should. That's ridiculous. The post was saying you can't put this at the feet of men. You voted for it, and this is what you have to suffer under. If you're going to use women as a collective, this is what happens. And it is.
Sorry, I had a call.
Okay. Did you hear the last part of what I said?
No, I didn't. My phone cut out.
Well, I'll just finish out with this, and then I'll let you go about your day because I got to get to a show, and I promised you it'd only be a half hour. So, what I said was this: I said my tweet had nothing to do with that. Had nothing to do with whether or not men should step in if a 13-year-old girl's about to get raped. Of course they should, and so should women. So should everybody, right? So should other kids if they can. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the idea that if you're going to collectivize the power of women, then they're going to have to be held to account for their votes. They're going to have to be held to account, and that's going to be a consequence that they're going to have to face, and they have to face it. And whether you like that or not, it's true. And if you want to have accountability for it, the only thing that I can point to is the one patriarchal structure, which can actually give that accountability, which is actually moving towards this idea of the removal of universal suffrage, and is actually an entrenched political vehicle. So I'll just end it with that.
Fine. Now let's get on to when are we going to have a physical contest?
Okay. About what? What's the physical contest supposed to be? Well, why is this relevant? How old are you? Well, let's start with that. How old are you?
I am 36.
Okay, you're 36 years old. So, is it even to be taking on a man in his 40s at 36?
I don't know. Are you a man who takes care of himself and you're in shape and you're fit?
I'm getting in shape, but no, I'm not in shape yet.
Yeah.
No.
Obviously.
But so what? What is that like? What does that have to do? Why is it that you want to physically fight with me for some reason?
No,
Why?
it doesn't have to be that. I didn't say that it had to be a fight. No, so the reason I do this is because I don't think you're a man of action. I think you're a windbag. I think that you're all talk and you're going to sit there and you loved it. You're very good. You're a very good Grima Wormtongue. You sit there and you debate. You sound smart. You've got your arguments nailed down. You're really good at making, in particular, OnlyFans girls and feminists look dumb, and you get lots of claps, and it looks great. At the end of the day, you aren't going to do shit personally. You're going to talk more.
Neither are you. You march to the street with your little. Then do it. Prove it. Prove it. Go down the street. Go down the street with your gun. Go down the street with your gun and do something. Stop bullshitting me. All you do the same thing I do. You have discourse with people and you try to change their minds, and you try to bring attention to your movement by marching, just like I bring attention to the views that I have by doing similar types of things. I don't march specifically, but we're doing the exact same thing in different ways. And the thing that's crazy here is like, what are you going to do about it? You're not going to do anything about it. You're going to march around in khakis, bro. What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm the vice president of an organization, as I said, that has hundreds of members. I have men that actually follow me and believe in what we're doing. Do you have? If you have called,
Okay, first
you have millions of followers. How many men?
No.
That would come meet you and march through the street with you.
Well, the last time I did an IRL event, there was like 600 people who showed up to meet me.
Okay, so yeah.
How about you?
Well, I actually have a photo similar. The last time that we did a large public event, we had about 600 people there, 500 people there.
Yeah, but I'm just one guy. And the thing is like you saying that you can't use discourse, which is the primary way in which you can make motivation through influence.
Organizing,
yes, it is.
Organizing the physical space is how you ultimately advance your point.
You say this like, so show me in the last 20 years where you have advanced a single political agenda with force.
Well, I could point to one 3 years ago. I was named a key convoy organizer during the 2022 trucker convoy in Ottawa, and that was absolutely a demonstration of physical force, as in we occupied the capital of a nation for 3 weeks until they had to call every single member of the police that they could to crack down on it. It took them.
That was not your organization.
No, I just.
That was not you. And I know,
Andrew, I didn't
Jeremy
say it
was another
fine.
one.
I said I was named a key convoy organizer.
Well, that's great that
by
you were
the
named
government.
that, but that was not your organization, and that was not a movement which was directly in line with what it is that you're advocating right now. Like I know
Exactly,
Jeremy pretty well. I know Jeremy pretty well, and he was also named as a big,
And
him and Diagolon. Him and Diagolon and all of that.
Jeremy is the president of the organization that I'm the vice president of.
Yeah, but do you understand my point here? My point with Diagolon and all of that, the point with the truckers. What I'm telling you is like I could make the same claim then with J6. I can make the same claim when it was the case that Christians were occupying the Capitol building in Michigan.
Were you there?
I was in Michigan, yeah. I was at the Capitol building in Michigan, yeah. So was my wife.
You just said January 6th. Were you there?
I didn't say that I was at January 6th.
No,
I gave you another example.
You said that you could take responsibility for it.
No, I didn't say I could take responsibility. I'm just saying that by your logic, if there's another organization that you support, whether you're there or not, are you saying that the supporters of the convoy, what?
You said that I have never organized anything that resulted in any kind of physical force that resulted in some kind of change being made to the political environment.
You jumped on a movement. That's different. That's one. And two, most of that was to spur political discourse. Most of that was to spur political discourse.
I brought hundreds of people to that mass movement because I organized in the physical space. I made my following. I got my name by traveling this country, meeting with people in real life and building connections with people.
Same exact same thing. Doing the exact same thing. And not only that, let me just point this out, and this is super important, okay? That entire movement was heralded to be nonviolent for the purpose of advancing political discourse, which is exactly what influencers did, including Jeremy. So it's like, I still don't know what you're even fighting with me about. If you say that influence and influencers and dialogue is not the primary mover, and especially meme culture, things like this, of political discourse, then I'm just going to say you're objectively wrong. And I have 50 years of history to back me up on this.
Fine.
All right. Well, I appreciate the talk, but maybe I was wrong in one sense. I did think that I would at least get some agreement with my position from you, but maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't know what there is to agree with.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a more tenable position than yours.
Lives anyways. For me personally, I don't care about, maybe not don't care, but I would never, I personally wouldn't cut someone off for voting for Trump or being Republican, but I would cut someone off for being a Trumper. Mm-hmm. Those are two very different things for me. What does that mean? You can vote for Trump, you can vote Republican because you believe in his policies and whatever. But if you have all the MAGA branding and your trucks decked out and all that stuff, I don't believe you should be worshiping anyone but God. So why are you
worship though?
It's not a worship. Like how he branded the Bible with Trump and people are buying that, and how they I understand voting who you want to vote for, but the fact that they're parading him around like he's some someone that should be it's politics. Vote for who you want because you believe that's what's going your best interest and you believe what they say. I have no problem with that.
So then any publishing house that puts the publishing house's name on it is an error on the Bible?
No, I'm just saying
I don't that happened with the Trump Bible.
I don't think it's right to brand the one I'm speaking about is the one where it was a normal Bible, mm-hmm. and it looked like they literally took a branding tool and branded Trump into it. I don't think that's right. I wouldn't brand Kamala. I wouldn't brand someone I look up to or whatever into my Bible. I think that's very weird.
I'm not actually familiar with that. But the thing is if a publishing house were to put their brand on it, the last name was I don't know, Steve Jack or something, or Steve Jack Publishing, you wouldn't think that was an issue.
I would, if they made a Bible and branded in bold letters that takes up a big, a good, maybe not a third, but a good portion of the Bible, they branded their name into it, I wouldn't purchase that.
Yeah, no. I've never even heard of that. I
never heard it was going around. I'm not saying that Trump personally endorsed it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not, but people were buying it seriously.
Okay.
So I'm saying the people who are doing things like that, I'm like, okay, We're
Okay,
we're
but
doing a little
let's-
too far.
But leaving the Bible alone for a second, okay? I'll just be very charitable and say, sure. You know, if they're buying Trump brand Bible that's branded into it or something like this, that's one step too far for you. Okay, I can. But what about if they have their truck decked out and this type of thing? Like that's
I'm
what you were
talking about the
alluding
one
to.
where it's like, I'm not saying you can't have a vote for Trump sticker or a flag or whatever. I'm talking about the ones where like yesterday outside my job, there was a truck that had 4 flags in the back.
Yeah.
The big person as him driving,
Yeah.
fully encased in, if you vote for Kamala, stay 500 feet away from me. Like all those stickers,
But
I think that's
nothing
doing a
wrong with
little too much. I think that's creating separation and it's doing more evil than good. That's my overarching point. And the ones who are
But
just
isn't-
taking it like they're just making him play out to be like he's some god. Like those are the ones I have an issue with. If you want to vote
Yeah,
for
I
him,
understand what you're saying, but aren't they doing you a favor? Because if your ideal here is like if you're this into Trump, right? I wouldn't want to be around you anyway. And if they're just advocating that outright, then aren't they doing you a favor?
that's fine. I don't really care overall, but I'm saying I feel like it creates more divide in our country than good is my point. Because you can vote for whoever you want to, but like everyone has the right to react how they want. They have the right to rep what they want, but I just think it does more harm than good. Like you can have your propaganda, but it's just overarching. Like I had someone post like even after he won, they just put a bunch of like Trump
Can I tell
stickers
you
all over
something?
my bar, and it's like it's cool. Like I don't, but it's like it's just now you're making them even. I feel like look bad. I don't think it's.
But can I tell you something? What you just said, I respect your point of view, but just to show you from the other side, they did the same. The liberal did the same, and even worse when people got elected. Like when
Which
Biden,
election?
with Biden.
I've
with
never seen
Hillary.
someone with 3 Biden flags
Listen,
riding around.
just
or
the
anything.
fact that they go and chant in a really crazy way and scream when you don't agree with them, all this psychotic
But
attitude.
we're both talking about the far outsiders, and that's what I have an issue with. I have the same issue with the liberals who do all those things. I'm talking about the outliers. Those are the ones I have an
What
issue
do you
with.
mean liars? I don't know.
Outliers, like they're not the norm. I don't think
Okay.
the normal person who voted for Trump is like that, and I also don't think the normal person who voted for Biden is like that. I personally didn't,
So
but whatever.
would you
So I'm
say
saying we're both
then-
talking about the small majority.
Yeah, would
that
you
takes
say
the
then
big
that
light.
these cities then who have these massive LGBTQ parades and things
Yes,
like this,
exactly.
and they're completely inundated with rainbow flags everywhere,
Exactly.
this type of thing, would that be propaganda you would consider divisive?
It's about devices. Divisive is a word, right? Like I believe
Yeah, I'm
when
aware it's a word.
no, like the word that I'm stuck on, I should
Oh,
say.
okay.
Because I do think that like when we didn't have the rights we have now, I understand why the LGBTQ parades and things were a thing. So I do believe if I say that there can be a LGBTQ parade and stuff, there could be a Trump parade or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just an issue.
But isn't it just as divisive, I guess, is my question.
It's more divisive, a lot more.
I wouldn't say more. I would say
course.
equally. I would say they both have their
Well,
equal
I'll just grant
parts.
it with equal here just for
Yeah,
the sake
but
of it.
I get what
but
you're-
if the argument is like you're all decked out, you got the Trump truck, you know what I mean? It's got the Dixie horn on
like,
it.
one's
Right? It's got
politics
like the
versus
whole 9
pride.
yards.
Listen,
You go, hey, that's really super divisive. It's like, okay, I can grant that. Right? I can grant that people would look at that and see it as divisive. But wouldn't you have to say the exact same thing with these kinds of pride parades which happen?
I just think this is one thing. It's the president of our country versus, not to sound
A group that divided the country, I mean. Because the LGBT, I was
okay.
here in the
I don't-
90s.
I totally lost what I was going to say.
Listen,
with that.
90s,
I'm gonna be honest.
2000.
I totally lost my whole train of thought with that
this
comment.
isn't, yeah.
Can I say
but
something?
I'm just
I get what you're saying, and I
90s,
honestly, if I'm being
2000.
100% honest, I would like to think more about my overall point about that
Okay.
before I try to
Sure,
prove a
sure.
point.
Okay, I think why it's not the same thing, the whole Trump and the gay pride community, is because gays in their community, they had to fight to be accepted into
So did Trump.
So
no,
did Trump, a lot
Trump
more.
is literally had been president for how long? You know
after
what I
he
mean?
fought to become president.
Yes,
Exactly,
but
after the Lafayette
but that
meeting.
is like that's politics. But what it's
No,
also
it is.
politics
This
to
is
do with
politics.
that.
It's even more politics. You know how much money
because
they
like
make?
you have to fight for rights to love someone
But
who you
it's
want to
not
love.
about rights.
But Trump is literally fighting for something that half our generation could like. I'm not a voter, so I could care less about it. But
That's the problem.
Yeah, You're probably right, but there's also me that don't really give a shit about politics. But yes, would I say that it's okay?
You didn't
for-
vote this election?
No, I don't
Then
care. I
you should
really
probably
Yeah, I
sit
don't. I
out
really
the
don't care because I don't give a fuck. I don't even know what they're
I wanna
talking
add
about.
one
I
more
didn't
thing.
vote for Biden versus Trump because I thought they were both.
Oh, I didn't
couldn't
vote then either. I
decide,
never
but this
voted.
one I definitely
Nah,
voted
you're gonna
'cause I
say
knew
some
for sure
Tila shit.
Kamala was
Nah,
better.
you're
Chill out.
What?
No, you're gonna
Yeah,
say some
I've
Tila
never-
shit.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you're literally about to.
I promised to. No, I'm not.
And can I add something then?
I just
I'd like
want
to hear it.
Okay, so I think what point you brought up when Trump had to like fight for presidency, of course you have to fight for presidency. That's literally in the job description. It is not in a job description to fight to be with the person who you love. So it is not the
But
same
it-
thing.
Well,
Yes.
I want to.
Marriage.
hang on,
Good point.
You, would
Yeah,
you
hang on,
say
let her
would
go.
you say that marriage is part of the American, like
Crazy.
whatever community, however we were brought
Dream.
up, American dream, marriage, white picket fence, kids, whatever.
Define. Well, okay, sure. Define marriage.
Yeah, define marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly, it's just a commitment for like property.
Then
It's
no,
basically
that
like a
wouldn't
legal
be
agreement.
part of the American
Not
dream.
true.
That,
think
but that's
marriage is
technically
written
what
down.
it is. Marriage
Yeah,
in
but that's
the
not-
like idealized sense
Sure.
is love,
Yeah,
right?
but the thing is that's not part of the American dream. No, it never has been.
Okay,
The idea,
so
the idea of
the idea of marriage,
the idea of like a contractual state marriage. No, it's never been a part of the American dream.
no, but that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, but-
the idealized version of it, which has been basically promoted as the American dream of, oh, you're gonna find
Yeah,
somebody that you
promoted.
love. Yeah.
But it's not the
And the
original.
promotion is the device, right?
Exactly.
And that's
The
what makes it
promotion
divisive.
of men and women being the only ones getting to be married, that is biblical. That is traditional.
What's wrong with that?
well, no. well,
The
it's-
Bible and the Constitution should not be one and the same. That's literally part of the Constitution, so it shouldn't decide who gets to love one another. I am very passionate about this. A lot of my family is LGBTQ, and they had to fight for rights. My uncle got HIV because he was, during that time, and he had to fight to get medication to stay alive. Where if somebody else got a sickness that's not related to being gay, they would be treated right away. So no, gay pride and everything like that is not divisive. It's only divisive if your views make it divisive.
Well, okay, well then, hang on, right? Just stop for 2
Sorry,
seconds.
sorry.
Let us have the exchange, please. If that's okay with you,
Sorry,
Your
sorry,
Majesty.
sorry.
Anyway.
No, I didn't mean
So,
it.
so back to this, okay? What in the world would that have to do with whether or not it's divisive? You saying, for instance, hey, wait a second, Andrew, right? They had to do this because A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
And it's only divisive because this group over here doesn't like it. That's everything. That's literally
Exactly.
that would be Trump. That would be Kamala. That would be
Exactly.
so.
But-
So saying it's not
but-
divisive.
well,
hang on.
okay,
I just let
sorry.
you go.
My bad, my
I just
bad.
let you go. Right. So saying that it's divisive, which is the point, there's no way around that. It's divisive. You saying it's only divisive because this group doesn't like it. Well, that's the point of what divisive means, right? That's everything I can think of.
Okay, then I'll correct my statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's divisive, but it's not as divisive as a political election. It's not as divisive as something that affects a literal majority of the U.S. population. Just because somebody has a pride parade,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't affect anybody other than the pride community.
Yeah, but so nations have foundational morals. If you have a foundational moral, all right, or some type of foundational ethics, and then somebody pushes against those ethics, I can't actually think of anything that would ever be more divisive than that. Ever.
Okay, well, define what.
Like for instance,
what
let's say if you
moral
went
ethics.
to let's say if you went to like an Islamic nation and you were like, "Hey, I don't want the women there to wear burqas anymore." Can you think of anything more divisive than that?
But I mean,
I
it's-
don't think that's comparable.
Most of America is for gay marriage
hang
and
on,
gay
it's
rights.
It's a foundational system that their society is built around. If you go and attack the foundational system of the societies, you're literally
But yes,
propagating
if a
divisiveness.
foreigner, if somebody that's outside,
Even
of
inside.
their,
Even inside.
But the example you gave was outside.
Well, it
so
wouldn't
I'm
matter
gonna
either way. Even inside, it would be the same thing.
Inside, yes, it would be divisive, but that's part of the people. That's part of what they want. So
Aren't we the land
you
of the
have to-
free?
Yeah, exactly. So we
I mean,
have
I
to
feel
take
like,
that
but
into
if I'm being honest, like,
consideration.
no, like Andrew, seriously though, like I understand. Obviously, we have our laws. We can't just do whatever we want. It's not a lawless land. But like, I feel like that's one thing with, regardless of what your own beliefs are. We are in America, where that's something that we built on being able to do whatever you want to do as long as it's not inhibiting someone else's
That was never
happiness.
what America was about.
It was a land of equal opportunity, and that's equality.
That's not
And to get away
equality.
from tyrants and to be able to create your own future.
The very first thing that happened in the United States after the revolution was George Washington instituted a whiskey tax, raised the militia, and attacked his own countrymen to collect revenue from them. It's the very first thing that happened.
Okay.
No, this was not a land which was to be pursuant under anything.
But what do we
Hang
claim
on,
today?
Hang on. Just relax for a second. I'll get right into it, I promise. No, our foundational principles were not based around. In fact, they were based pretty specifically around the idea of God that was in the Declaration of Independence itself. All of the colonies, when you talk about the First Amendment, and when you're talking about the separation of church and state, that doesn't actually appear in the First Amendment. All 13 colonies had a state religion, and they did post-constitutional ratification. It took years for that to erode. So the reason that the 10th Amendment is in place, in fact, is so that they didn't want to tell each of these states which religion they could have, but they were never telling them they could not adopt one. They looked at them as like small countries unto themselves. So no, when you say like, what is the country founded on? What are the foundational principles? These aren't them. These are new principles, came out of, like 70s radicalism, 60s radicalism, really had nothing to do with foundational principles.
Okay, so if things can change and they're based off of new principles, then why is having gay marriage legal an
Well,
issue?
you still have to conflict with the same grounding principles which are there.
Well, why would a pride parade, what does that affect? Versus
Like when men
Trump
were walking
and
around
Biden.
half naked in the street and stimulating oral copulation with each other in front of children. Like,
front
you
of
think
children,
that doesn't bother people?
If they were on the streets in the public, then honestly, that's on the parents for letting their kids out to see that. And I know,
wait.
This is-
Hang on.
Ridiculous.
Why? Why would that be on the parents? Like, let's say you're just walking down the street.
okay, so
or you're going to show support, right? You don't expect to see
in
that.
my-
Straight people don't do that.
experience.
Straight people don't go and show their sexuality.
Let's not
Not
say
like-
that.
no,
They
I mean, like-
definitely do.
No, but I mean like
Yes, they do.
No, it's not what I meant.
Lost the
No,
plot.
it's not what I meant. I meant gay. Sorry, straight people
Well,
don't
look,
have a
we
parade
can't,
for
like,
the sexuality.
we
Because
can't,
they didn't have to
we-
fight for their
We can't
sexuality.
tarry on this for too long because it does dive into the realm of we're moving.
Maybe we
into-
should just ask an
hang on,
actual
we're moving,
person
we're moving
in the
into too much.
community.
But I wanna
hang
add
on.
something.
But I know
I've
you
dated
do.
women too.
Yeah.
Hang on. But maybe we can like close it. Maybe we can close it this way. We can give you a last word here, and then I'll just make a brief response, and then we'll move it to kind of the next topic, so we don't tarry on this forever. But go ahead.
Oh, I said my piece.
Can
Okay.
I say?
So
Then we're good.
Make it quick. Make it quick.
Okay, what you don't understand, okay, and a majority of people here don't understand that it's a lot more than this specific community, because it's tied to other things, to other communities that eventually, in the end of the day, it's very, very politic. These communities get a lot of so-called human rights organization money, okay, to go and do all these parades that you see. It's not just for the people right to get married and do things.
All
It's
right.
a lot more than that.
All right, you got to wrap it quick. So anyway, yeah, I know.
I'm not saying the
Anyway.
words, you see.
You don't know.
You don't. Yeah,
How long
don't
have you
know.
been in America? Can I ask?
15 years? 20,
15?
but 20.
Because I feel like it is relevant.
So,
No.
I mean, the ultimate idea that we're talking about is we're talking about a clash of ethics. So, if you attack a foundational ethic that a society is built around, so I think that society is built on religious values, all of them. There's not a one that isn't. So let's say politics is downwind of culture, culture is downwind of theology. So there's no culture that's on planet Earth that's not informed by its gods, what it worships, what it doesn't worship. It's not any. They just don't exist. It's how human beings seem to function with each other. So anytime that those values, whatever those symbols are that are inside of that, to get kind of attacked or people are pushing against them, they want some sort of change, it becomes revolutionary, and people hate that, right? They hate that's like if you're pushing revolution, then that's what people loathe. And what happened in the 60s and 70s with the kind of gay rights push, they called it a revolution, right? Mm-hmm. This is a rights revolution, right? The same thing kind of with feminism. These are rights revolutions that they're pushing towards. So yeah, I can't really think of anything more divisive than that. That's super divisive.
Oh, bro. I knew it was a fucking mistake. Go ahead.
All right. We can move on here.
Did we ever even get through everyone's dating status?
Well, these dinosaurs may not, but if you look at these general YouTubers or people like this who are now dispensing the news, right? These are the guys who are now dispensing it. They may use these as sources.
They're morons.
Right? But people are getting
No,
they're
but
getting their
Majority
news
Report-
from all these little tiny little channels everywhere. They might use these as sources, but that's where people are getting it. They're doubling down. They're like, look,
Yeah.
absolutely, Democrats don't need to change anything. This was a fluke. This was a one-off.
Yeah, Hassan.
That's
Majority
what
Report, all
Pikers,
those
you're-
terrible people.
Yeah, your destinies. They are, but they're all idiots. Like, they're feeding.
Yeah, but why should we expect change from them
was
then?
it-
If that's
That's
what
not
they
what
do?
I'm. That's not.
Was it you
That wasn't the
debating
argument
Destiny?
I was making.
I don't know if it was you debating Destiny, but someone brought up democracy. He was saying that Trump was a threat to democracy or something like this, and then someone mentioned if Trump wins the popular vote, isn't that democracy?
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, now is it really about democracy?
No.
I wonder. Well, of course, I know that the answer is no. I'm saying he wants to make the argument that it's about democracy only because they won the popular vote and assumed Kamala was going to win the popular vote.
Yeah.
Bill Maher said, Trump can't win. He's not going to win. Kamala's going to get the popular vote at least. Once they realized that was not true and Trump is the more popular side of history, now so many of these people are changing their tunes. I doubt Kyle or Pac-Man or Sam Seed or any of these people, Destiny, they're not going to change their tunes because they've embedded themselves in this fringe ideology and hateful rhetoric. They're in trouble.
Big trouble.
Because what happened with the adpocalypse and cancellation is going to start happening to them. It's quite simple.
It's already happening on Twitch.
Oh, right. They're getting banned.
Yeah. Banned. Done.
Lefties are? Yeah. Who's the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a big story recently. Who was the big ban?
They're fighting right now with Hassan, right?
The Twitter adpocalypse.
Yeah, the Twitter adpocalypse.
Sorry, the Twitch.
Yeah,
adpocalypse.
Twitch adpocalypse. I mean, the thing is, you see this across the board. The left is getting absolutely demolished on rhetoric. They overplayed their hands, but I'm telling you, none of these newscasters, leftist creators are saying anything other than double down, double down, double down. The TikTok trends that I see when I engage with these TikTok lunatics all over the internet, and I do it all the time, is the same exact thing. Double down, double down, double down, double down. They say Orange Man bad, Trump is bad. We're not changing anything. They don't seem like they want to change anything.
Let's jump to this from tribune.com.pk. I have no idea what this is. What is this? The Express Tribune. They say Asmongold blames Hassan Abi for Twitch's adpocalypse affecting streamers' ad revenue.
It's actually Destiny's.
Destiny is?
Well, it's not Destiny himself. It's Destiny's followers because they're going after us.
Well, let's get the story first.
Yes, yes.
All right. So they say Asmongold explained his position during his broadcast, saying Hassan clearly is one of the biggest proponents of this. I would say he is the main reason. He added that a majority of the examples used in discussions about demonetization on Twitch pertain to Hassan Abi. That's Hassan Piker. Maybe not 90, maybe 80, 70, but it is the majority of all examples on the entire platform. The adpocalypse refers to a reduction in ad revenue across Twitch, reportedly affecting some creators by as much as 90%.
Yeah.
Industry experts, including Devin Nash, have previously linked the issue to polarizing political content on the platform. Hassan Abi has faced criticism for his coverage of Middle Eastern conflicts with allegations of promoting anti-Semitic rhetoric. Yep. U.S. Congressman Richie Torres even cited Hassan Piker in a congressional letter accusing Twitch of amplifying extremist voices. Asmongold defended his stance, stating, "You can say it's unfair, that's fine, but you can't say that it's not happening or that it's not the reason." He also criticized Twitch for its inconsistent moderation policies.
Yeah.
They go on to mention that Twitch has not officially commented on the controversy, but recently updated its hateful conduct policy regarding the term Zionist.
Because the ADL told him to.
Is that, well, look, hey, man.
Yeah, not kidding. The ADL put in a policy. They said, nope, you got to do this. They capitulated to the ADL immediately.
This is liberals and leftists welcomes to Leopard ate my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leopards ate my face. This is, they advocated and begged. And to this day, they still beg for it. And I am happy to watch them crumble and wither into a dried husk of their former
Well,
selves.
the gamers all over Twitch are like, no, they want all political content off of Twitch. Gamers are begging Twitch, get rid of political content. We don't want it. We want ad-friendly content. That's us gaming, right? That's ad-friendly content. We don't want this. But for Twitch, these guys are cash cows, right? Hassan, they're cash cows.
Destiny has a viral video right now where he says that all of the people on the right should be banned.
Including you.
Including me.
Yeah.
He says people like By
name?
By name.
Yeah, by name.
I don't know who else he mentions. I don't remember, but he says Tim Pool. These people, they're only awful, and their platform should be totally banned. And I'm like,
he said Tucker Carlson.
Right. Yep.
He said Tim Pool. He said there was multiple personalities.
I'm in complete agreement right now with him, and I'm glad he brought it up because we hold the power of the institutions. We won the popular vote. The advertisers are siding with X, and he's going to get himself banned for screaming this. And bye-bye, Destiny.
Disney came back to X too, even.
That's what I'm talking about. All the major corporations are coming back to X because Destiny and his ilk are on the wrong side of history.
Yeah.
Destiny wanted to make the argument about democracy and all that. Well, he's anti-democracy. The more he complains, he is opposed to the will of the people. So if he wants to advocate for bannings, I say, well, don't look at me. But my stance on this has changed.
And he's by the way, this guy's always been a deplatformer. I mean, going way back, he's always been the advocate for deplatforming, unless it's him. Unless it's
10 years ago, I was in the we shouldn't ban people, we protect free speech, even for those who disagree with camp. Now I'm in the I do not defend my enemies.
Yes.
Destiny wants to burn down free speech. I say, hey, man, you're on your own. So when they start ripping their revenue away and banning them out, and Hassan as well, I just say, sucks for you guys, I guess. I ain't going to speak up for you.
No.
Yeah, I'm not.
Suffer.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit there. I would never go and go out of my way to try and get someone banned, but I'm not going to do one. I'm not going to lift one finger. Right. I'm not going to waste one bit of breath trying to defend him. Or anyone that says, these people should be banned. If you're advocating for banning people, beat it. I'm not going to defend you.
What people are saying is even so much worse than that. It's not even just the idea of democracy. What Destiny was saying in that video clip, and I've heard this echoed from guys like Pacman and many others, is that all of humanity is benefited by you being gone. You even having a place to say anything is an existential threat to humankind itself.
That's what he was saying. Right?
And all that happens is that the world's going to improve by getting rid of you. That's a call to action.
Yeah.
That's an actual call to action. We must do this. We need to get rid of these people. How is it not if you say these people are an existential threat to everybody, right?
Well,
How's that not really a call to action? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
There's a reason why. And this is actually a fascinating metric I'd love to study. Maybe we could hire maybe People's Pundit. Rich Bears could help us out.
Were any crimes against Adam Schiff, then they would have brought them up at any point unto this point, but they haven't. And so
then why pardon him? Then why pardon him?
Yeah.
Then why pardon him? Makes no sense. Your logic is totally flawed here. Makes no sense.
It's not flawed. The reason to pardon him.
Okay.
Andrew Wilson went on Piers Morgan Uncensored, as well as the PBD podcast host Vinny Oshana and Brian Tyler Cohen, as you can see right here. Andrew Wilson and Brian Tyler Cohen really went at it on this episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored, and in my opinion, Andrew Wilson really came out on top in this heated argument, and it really got so heated, and Andrew Wilson just destroyed Brian Tyler Cohen so much that it did leave the other panel members, including Piers Morgan, absolutely stunned. Let's get into this clip here where Andrew Wilson absolutely destroys this woke idiot, Brian Tyler Cohen, here live on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
But I would say, Brian, it does seem extraordinary to me. I mean, my issue with Joe Biden pardoning his son is not that as a father, I don't understand why he wants to stop his son going to prison. It was the blatant lying by him and Karine Jean-Pierre from the White House podium, which I thought was so damaging to his legacy and to the reputation of his administration, to do that from the podium in such a brazen and ongoing manner for months on end, and then to just do it anyway. But this development now, where they're almost second guessing that, as the Republicans were saying, I think a lot of sympathy for this, that they're saying, look, clearly the justice system was weaponized against Trump. They tried everything to put him in jail. And a lot of the people that work for him. So now Trump is suggesting that maybe we return the favor, as of course he was going to. Now, he did say, I don't want retribution. I think the best revenge is success, which is an old Frank Sinatra line, which I use in a column. I suspect that's where he got it. But I think that would be a very good strategy. Don't look back, look forward. However, the fact that Biden may be moving to give people blanket immunity against any possible crimes they committed for many years, I think is outrageous, don't you?
Piers, I think that if you're not looking at it in the context of why it's being done, then you're just ignoring reality here. The reason that Biden has to consider preemptive pardons for people like Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney is because Donald Trump is storming into office by assembling a Justice Department and folks around him in the legal community who have promised to enact Donald Trump.
This is so funny, man. It's so, the projection from people like Brian Tyler Cohen and Destiny, David Pakman, and these sorts of people. It's so bad, man. It's like, dude, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their administration, the administration that people like Brian Tyler Cohen voted for, and they would have voted for Joe Biden once again, by the way. If he was the candidate, if he was the nominee, they would have voted for him again, which is insane. Their side is the one that weaponized the DOJ against Donald Trump. And they're the ones that are saying, well, Joe Biden had to pardon all of these criminals because Donald Trump was going to weaponize the DOJ against us. You idiot. Donald Trump has never said that. And also, there's been no signs that he's going to do that. But your side, the side that you voted for and would have voted for again, has blatantly done exactly what you're claiming Donald Trump is going to do when he gets in office. These people like Brian Tyler Cohen, man, they're so bad faith, and Andrew Wilson's going to tear him to shreds here in a second.
Trump's retribution.
But what if
to it.
they
That's
committed
why
crimes?
He's doing it.
What
Let's
if
not
they
pretend that
committed
it's
crimes?
happening in a vacuum here.
Yeah, but Brian, what if they've committed crimes? Genuinely, like Hunter. What if they have committed crimes?
If Adam Schiff has committed crimes,
Yeah.
he hasn't. There's no suggestion that he has.
How do you know?
Because how do you know that he has? I mean, it's
Exactly. Then why would you pardon him? If he hasn't committed any crime, then what is the need for pardoning? And I know what they're going to say. I know what Brian Tyler Cohen's going to say. Well, because Donald Trump is going to pin false crimes on him. Yeah, man, the projection is unreal. You mean like exactly what you guys did to Donald Trump and the exact thing that you would defend that your side did to Donald Trump?
It's ridiculous.
Why pardon him?
Why pardon him is because
why
Donald
pardon him
Trump
if he hasn't
will
committed
usher
crimes?
because Donald Trump's FBI director is coming into office with an enemies list. Why wouldn't you?
Oh, you're saying they're going to manufacture crimes against Schiff? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that they're going to manufacture crimes against Schiff? Does that even make sense to you?
If there were any crimes,
does that even make sense to you?
If there were any crimes against Adam Schiff, then they would have brought them up at any point unto this point, but they haven't. And so
then
Donald
why
Trump
pardon
knows
him?
that
Then why
because-
pardon him?
Yeah.
Then why pardon him? Makes no sense. Your logic is totally flawed here. Makes no sense.
It's not flawed. The reason to pardon him.
Okay, Julie, let me bring in Julie. If you can answer it, answer it.
I can answer that question because Donald Trump went to meet the press yesterday and said point blank that he thinks that the January 6th committee committed crimes. What crimes?
did.
I don't know. Maybe doing their due diligence. Stop. Maybe doing their due diligence oversight.
we have got
And as
that clip.
members
Let's
of
play that.
Congress,
I'll tell you
what.
Let's play that. Julie, hang on.
They have immunity.
Hang on, Julie. I want to play the clip.
So
we
the
can,
point here, yes.
Let me play the clip again so we know exactly what you're talking about. We played it early. We'll play it again.
This was a committee, a big deal. They lied. And what did they do? They deleted and destroyed a whole year and a half worth of testimony. Do you know that I think those people committed a major crime.
Sir.
And Cheney was behind it. And so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
Yeah,
So what the hell is he talking about? So there's no. So let's just preface this. None of that is true.
Mm-hmm.
None of that is true.
How do you know
Just
out of
because he
interest?
says it doesn't make it true.
How do you know?
How do I know? Because
How do you know?
I would assume that because his
Because Donald Trump said it. That's how she knows, man. Oh, these people are just insufferable. Did you see, by the way, like how lost Brian Tyler Cohen was right there? He had absolutely nothing to say in response to what Andrew Wilson was asking. If he didn't commit any crimes, why pardon him? Is it because you think they're going to make up false charges against him? And he wouldn't say yes. He had no answer. And then this lady comes in to try and save him and just, I don't know, stutters her way through a just nonsensical statement after nonsensical statement. It's embarrassing, man.
Elections are a very
would have
dangerous
filed a
thing when it
motion.
comes to
His
fact gathering.
I'm answering your question.
saying that Donald
His
Trump's
lawyers
Justice
would have
Department is
filed-
going to manufacture evidence of crimes, or
I
aren't
am
you?
sa-
Because if
can
they're
I
not,
answer
you
the
have
question,
no
or do you wanna
reason to
keep
pardon
interrupting
these
me?
people. Well, you're not really answering the question. You're going on a diatribe.
Well, you're not letting me answer. You're not letting me answer the question.
Answer, but be
Do
concise.
I believe
I
that
actually
he
want to
did?
hear it.
Okay. Well, actually, thank you so much for telling me how to speak. I
You're welcome.
think that Donald Trump just sent a very big message to Pam Bondi as to what he expects. And he expects her to start and to Kash Patel to start investigating these people. Whether they get indicted or not, it doesn't matter. It is expensive. It is consuming. and it becomes a huge pain in the you-know-what to be investigated by the federal authorities. And that is the message that he is sending.
Like the Russian collusion.
He knows full well that there is nothing that's been destroyed, because had it been destroyed, his lawyers would have filed a motion.
Yeah, but Julie,
and
I
they
would say
never
to you,
did throughout
but
all
Julie,
this
They were not in a
process.
position where they could investigate
hang on.
They were not in a position to do that.
I would say to Julie, look, when you weaponize the justice system of the United States of America against a president of the United States, first ever criminal court case we've ever seen involving a president, and it's about shuffling some paperwork over an alleged one-night stand he denies with a porn star 18 years ago. When you render the justice system to be such a politically motivated farce, and most Americans actually thought that, when you do that as an administration, when you allow that to happen, you open up a whole can of worms. You've done it first. You've gone after this guy. You've tried everything you could, however petty, trivial, ridiculous,
Now
to try
you
and
reap
put him
the
in jail.
whirlwind.
And when it doesn't work and it actually
All right,
backfires and it fuels him and he ends
So
up
that's
winning
not,
big.
So you're talking about a state. So you're talking
Yeah,
about
Piers,
a.
that's
By
the
the way,
New
Piers,
York
you're talking
case.
about a state. You're talking about a state charge that has nothing to do with Joe Biden. If you're talking about the federal
I'm
investigation,
talking about Democrat-motivated prosecutors who were doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is. It's so funny that they act like it's not, and the funnier part is that they act like Donald Trump is going to do exactly what their side did, and in reality, I don't think he is. Even though a lot of his supporters would wish that he did do that, that he went after Democrats and weaponized the DOJ against them, I don't think he is going to do that. I don't think he is, and I hope he doesn't do that either. I don't think he should stoop to their level. I do think he should prosecute criminals, and investigate and see if people committed genuine crimes, but don't just pull charges out of thin air just because they're your political enemy, like the left did. And it's hilarious that people like Brian Tyler Cohen and this woke lady here, I don't know, whoever the hell she is saying that Donald Trump is going to do that. Absolutely hilarious. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Andrew Wilson's appearance here on Piers Morgan Uncensored, where he absolutely demolished Brian Tyler Cohen and this other woke idiot.
Topic, so that we know exactly what we're talking about here instead of the people who are watching.
Sure, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of kind of ambiguity surrounding male and female biblical roles. And given some of your statements, I was curious about your view on Christian, like biblical masculinity, and like
Yeah.
what you think the male role is, like in a marriage and society versus the female role, and how you think, they complement each other. Or, because I heard you saying in your debate with Jess that you thought that secular marriage is an inversion of biblical marriage. So I was hoping you could explain more.
Yeah, I can explain all that, but can we get some terms set real quick so that I know that we're not speaking past each other? So we've been having a back and forth for a while on Twitter here, where I need to make sure that you understand the distinction between an is statement and an ought statement. Is being the descriptor of what is so, ought being what you should do. So are you clear? I just want to make sure, are you clear on what the distinctions between those two things are?
Certainly. The confusion we had there is usually when someone makes a tweet, I just kind of assume they're endorsing the concept that they're tweeting unless they state otherwise. So like if I tweet a Bible verse, I'm endorsing that Bible verse as a concept that I'm behind it, I support it. That's why I tweeted it. Otherwise, I would specify in the tweet, hey, this isn't my view. I think this verse is wrong, or
Sure.
I disagree with this.
Yeah, but
And there was no context like that there.
Sure, Dee, but if a person says, if I were to say this, for instance, if there was a fire in my home and I wanted to get out the fastest way possible, it would be for me to leave behind my wife and kids, right? Is there anything in the statement there that says that I would do that?
Well, I mean, that's what's kind of strange. So like if you tweeted
No,
the
hang on.
fastest
I
way to get- hold on.
I just want to clarify something very quickly. I just want to clarify.
Okay.
Can you point to the thing there that says you would do X thing if you express that X thing is true? That's all I'm looking for.
If you tweeted that statement with no context, I would think you were advocating it. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of
okay, I
people would
understand
as
you would
well.
think that. I agree. Tons of people may think that, right? But in that statement, is it ever stated that you should do that? Or is it just stated that if you did, it would be the fastest way out? That's the question.
There is no moral ought in that
Yes.
statement. However, the context of tweeting it without any context beyond that implies that
No,
it's
there's no
your
implication.
position.
Nope, there's no
Yeah,
implication.
it does. I mean,
No,
people don't generally tweet.
no,
People
there's
don't
no
generally.
implication.
People don't
Just,
generally tweet. Okay. People don't generally tweet things that they don't mean without clarifying that they're not meaning that as their statement
well, you
of
don't you
intent.
don't need you don't need to create clarifications for statements you don't make. So if you don't make a statement of what a person should do, you don't ever have to clarify it. If you make a statement about what a descriptor is, you never have to clarify that either because the statement speaks for itself. So when you say things, when you say words to me like I assume, I think, what it implies, all of those things are meaningless to me. That's like emotional jargon, right? What I'm looking for is a descriptor or a falsehood or a proof or something which would show that this is an ought claim. And if it's not an ought claim, don't you think that it's irresponsible to claim that it is?
No, I don't, and I'll explain why. If I
Uh-huh.
tweet the fastest way out of your house is to leave your wife and children, and I don't
Mhm.
state any other context
Mhm.
around it, and then maybe people start asking, well, what would you do? Like, wouldn't you feel bad? And you're like, no, I'll just get a new wife and kids. Like, you're you didn't present it
Well,
as
you just added new
well,
stuff to this in order
right,
to
because
make it sound worser.
well, no, I was kind of going along with, some of the jokes you made and further comments after your tweet. There
No,
wasn't
I never said anything about what I would do. I said so the follow-up tweet where a bunch of femoids decided to screech about rape because they're lunatics. I literally said these words: "You, what you would do is X." Never said anything about me. Never.
okay. But I mean, do you agree that if I tweeted the fastest way out of your house is to leave your family in a
Mhm.
fire and I just don't tweet anything else, doesn't it sound like I'm saying that's what people should do?
No.
I mean, come
Like
on.
where? Yeah. Well, there's no come on. Where
I
is it
mean, when
stated that
people
that's what
make a
people should do?
when people, like I said, when I tweet a Bible verse, unless I tweet
Mhm.
I disagree with this, people are assuming I'm like, hey, look at this awesome Bible verse. I'm like, you generally clarify when you tweet something that it's not your opinion, because otherwise it's assumed it's your opinion. That's
It's not
like just
assumed. It's
yes,
only
it is.
well, okay, but if you assume a thing like that, how's that my fault and not your fault?
That's just the way that Twitter works. You make a statement on Twitter and people are like, oh, that's his opinion. And unless you
Yeah,
clarify
well, that
otherwise
is my
in the
opinion.
tweet,
Wait,
it's not
no.
unreasonable.
What I said was my opinion. Absolutely. I stand behind it 100%. That is my opinion. 100%.
Yes, it's your opinion, but people are also assuming it's an endorsement of said opinion
Well, I mean, and that's my fault. How? And not their
because you
fault.
didn't clarify. This isn't
Why
what
do I
I
need to
would do,
clarify? Why do I
or
need to
you didn't
clarify
clarify.
when I
It's
never?
unfortunate that this is what
Uh-huh.
would happen. You just stated you stated that in order to survive, this is what men would do.
Nope.
And then you
Didn't
didn't
say
say
that.
like,
So
but that's not what
here.
I would do or anything.
So
Like you
here,
didn't you didn't offer
let me
any
give you the
clarifying
following.
statements.
Let me give you the following again. I'm going to read this to you. And what I'd like this time, right, is for you to say if you agree or disagree with this statement. That if you're in an apocalypse scenario, that the best way for a man to be able to survive would be to exclude women from his survival group. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree.
Okay. Why do you disagree?
Because I think that the best way for a man to survive is a way in which sets up his family and what he lives for to survive. So if he eliminates everything that makes his life meaningful and just lives for himself, that's not really what I would consider survival. That's like,
Well, how would that not be survival?
because it's not like when you're done with whatever it is,
Mhm.
whatever's going on, there's no real details here. But whenever
Mhm.
you're done, like you're left, what, you're just going to sleep and eat until you die and then that's it?
Well, isn't
Like,
that survival?
no. I mean,
No.
survival is like living like with a purpose, with your family, with your children.
How I don't understand how that's survival. Survival is just being alive.
I,
It's,
mm,
to
I mean, I
survive
think
means to be alive, right? Like
I think it
that's what it
depends on what
means.
you value, though. Like, it's not really living if you're like just living for yourself. Like, for most people, that's insufficient.
Yeah, I think that you're not even really engaging with what the words mean, and that's why I want to make clarifications so that we know what words mean. What does survive mean? What does it mean?
So, you're just talking about individual survival?
I'm just asking you what the word means.
So, the context of what you said sounded
I'm
like,
just asking what the word means.
I know what you're asking. The
Yeah, can you
context of
answer
what
that question?
survival means to live, to continue
Okay.
to exist.
Okay. Gotcha. So wait, so when I say that a man's chances of survival increase by having no females in his survival group, and we know now what the word survival means because you just told me what it means, what part of this statement do you disagree with?
I think that there's a lot of nuance and detail that you would need in order to make that determination. For example, like some men are more driven or motivated to survive when they have a family versus when they have nothing to live for. I think that there's just multiple ways in which that can be proven false given the circumstances changing. So given like without the details, it's really hard to say that you're 100% correct. But I would also argue though that a man who can only like survive by protecting himself and can't effectively protect women and children is as worthless as the women you want to exclude. Like, are we
Well,
talking about group survival or are we talking about
that's good,
individual
but all
survival?
I'm talking about is your individual chance to survive.
But what, like,
That,
again, that makes
and
you
we know
worthless
that
to
that
everybody
means
else. You're
we know
saying
that
the women
survive
are
means to
worthless
stay
to the
alive.
group.
Yeah,
You're saying
right.
you're saying the women are worthless to the group, but a
Correct.
man is valuable just for himself? Like that doesn't make sense. So then the woman is equally as
Why?
valuable because she
Why is the
can just
woman
worry
valuable?
about herself.
Yeah, she can. She can worry about herself. I strongly would suggest that if a man wants to have the best chances of survival, that they do allow women to worry about themselves, and their chances of
But that's
survival
my
will
point
greatly
is
increase.
you're devaluing women based on what they could contribute to a group, but then you're
Uh-huh.
valuing a man based on what he just contributes to himself, and that doesn't even make sense.
Well, no, he would still contribute it to a group. He just wouldn't be contributing to women who would be a
But
liability to the
if he
group.
can't defend women and children, like how
Well,
is
no,
he a good
wait. You're
addition to a
making
group?
because you're making a category error. Can't is not the same as won't. So you keep on saying he
Won't.
can't defend women and children. I'm saying won't. He just won't
Why wouldn't he?
because he doesn't want to, because he wants to live. He wants to live longer. So if he wants
But
to live
it's not a
longer,
guarantee that by defending women and children he dies.
yeah, I suppose not. But I can tell you that defending anybody is going to greatly increase your chances of dying, right?
I don't know. Like it depends on the
No.
situation.
Like so if I never get into fist fights, my chances of dying if I get into a fist fight drastically go up, right?
I mean, what kind of apocalypse is this? Is the world getting hit by a meteor? Like
Well, hang
then
on.
no, it doesn't affect your chance. Like
Just one step at a time here, right?
that's what I'm
If
saying. It's like you have
yeah,
this
hmm
situation where you haven't defined the details and you're
well, I don't
mad.
think you need to. I don't think you need to define the details. There's nothing I said which is incorrect.
Well,
Just
you
said
do
I
if,
think.
if you're going to ask, am I right?
Mhm.
Then I would kind of need to know the details because you might not be. Again, if it's a nuclear war, no, you're
Mhm.
not right. You don't increase your chances of surviving nuclear holocaust by getting rid of women.
Well, okay.
So,
Well,
do
then
you see
how
what
are
I'm
you?
saying?
Well, I assume you have to be alive to survive, right?
Andrew, I'm saying that when you say, am I right that I increase my
Hmm.
chances of survival by getting rid of
Hmm.
women? It depends
Hmm.
on the details of what's happening.
Okay, great. Okay, so the zombie apocalypse happens tomorrow. There you go.
So it's zombies.
Sure, zombies.
Okay. How do I know
Yeah,
they're not zombies that only like to eat men?
yeah. It's
Like,
not
since we're
entailed in
just
the
inventing
hypothetical.
things.
Well, you're demanding that things be invented. I'm just making a generalized
Well,
statement. The
this is
generalized
kind of
statement
this is kind
is
of what
that for the
happens when you
purposes
get
of survival, the
well,
purpose of
this is
survival, excluding women from a survival group, likely going to increase your chances of survival. Because, and here's my reasoning, that most modern women are completely useless for the purpose of practical applications.
but men
That's my
aren't.
reasoning. No, men aren't. No, that's correct.
So most men can hunt, most men can build things because that's not my experience. Most
Well, no,
men do about as
I'm
much
gonna
as most
assume
women.
that they that the skill set for survival itself. Let us assume for a second fires and I don't know hunting, fishing, whatever the fuck it is that you decide to put under the category of that. That yes, more men will know those things in general than women, but we can just assume in a baseline that most men don't know much about it and most women don't know much about it. So we're just left with the potential, the potentiality. So the
Okay.
potentiality is are men who are much stronger, faster, quicker, and able to work with their hands much better than women going to be a bigger boon and an asset to you than women? I think the answer to that is yes.
If your point is that men are physically stronger and have
Yeah.
advantages over women in combat situations, and that's
In all
like that's
sit
stating the
in
obvious.
well, no, in almost all situations when it comes to survival, they have
I'm
advantages.
I'm just saying like yeah, men are physically more capable than women in a lot of
Right.
things. Yes. Like that's not
Yes, I
any
agree.
well, that's not anything like I feel that needs to be said. That's kind of common sense. That's like
Yeah,
saying men are
but if it's common sense, then why would you dispute that not having women in a survival group um, would in some way increase their chances of survival if you admit that men, on average across the board, are more skilled at all of these sets than women? I don't get that.
the reason I dispute it is because, like, looking at everything from a Christian worldview, I feel like God created men to protect women, and just to ignore that is to kind of miss the point of survival.
Yeah, but
So
survival
that's
just
just
means
where my
being
mind
alive.
goes.
That just means being alive. So,
Well, I know
what you
that's what
did, so,
I
so
know
what you
that's
did is
what
you took this like other thing, this other whole category, which wasn't even being discussed, which is the ethical, moral Christian purview of what you think men ought to do in relation to women. It's like, okay, that's fine. You can think all of that, whatever it is you want to think. I don't care. I'm not sure though how that actually relates to the descriptor. And that's what people were asking you like thousands of times, and you just kind of wouldn't answer.
for me, the reason it relates is
Uh-huh.
because like I filter all of truth through a Christian lens. And so like to see a statement made by a man that has Christian in his bio that says the best way to survive an apocalypse is to get rid of women.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Well,
like,
wait. I'm sorry. Are you appealing to some different truth than me? Because my epistemic justification for truth is God in Jesus Christ. So I don't understand why
well,
that
so
statement wouldn't. I don't understand how that statement would be less true because I was a Christian.
well, the reason I say that is because like, do you think that God would agree the best way to survive the apocalypse would be to abandon your wife?
No. Wait. That's not what I said. I didn't say anything about the best way to survive the apocalypse. I said your chances of survival greatly increase if you don't have women around in the apocalypse. When you use the word best is making an inference of a whole different value set than what we're talking about. Do I think that God would disagree with the true statement that men are going to be far and away more useful in an apocalypse to other men than women? I doubt it, because the truth is the truth. That has nothing to do with the ought, right? We're not talking about what they ought to do. We're just talking about what is true.
I don't know. I guess I just don't tend to separate like the ought out of situations like that.
Right. So this is why I wanted before we got into our discussion to make sure that you could separate is and ought, and now we have discovered that we cannot.
I'm just saying I don't tend to when I'm reading something without any context. Like if you
Okay,
had
but
said,
can you
if
right
you
now?
Hey, Andrew,
Like can you do it now?
hold on before you keep
Okay.
asking questions. Let me say something.
Go ahead.
If you had provided any context of like, this is not what I would do, or unfortunately, this is what would happen, but the way you worded it did not come across like you were trying to distance yourself from just stating a fact. The way you worded it, again, when people tweet something, the endorsement is kind of implied unless it's stated otherwise. And I'm
Well,
gonna stand by
well,
that.
wait.
I feel
I
like
100% endorse my statement. What do you mean?
I'm
Like,
talking
what do you
about,
mean? I totally endorse it,
but you
100%.
don't endorse it morally. You're just
Yeah,
saying
because it's
this
not
is
a moral
true.
claim. Yeah, but it's not a moral claim. Why would I endorse a moral claim that I never made? That makes no sense. That's just completely illogical to me. When
Why
you,
say something that you personally wouldn't do just to make a point like that? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of that? What are you trying to accomplish?
because I find it to be particularly hilarious when unreasonable feminists, which I consider you one based on the conversations we've had, can't read and freak the fuck out. I think it's hilarious. That's why I do that shit.
So, can I really not read, Andrew?
Well,
Since we're being so like,
when you make a claim, I don't understand how you can make
so wait, I
like
can't read words? That's
well,
the true
I don't
statement?
understand.
I
I don't
can't read?
understand how you can. I don't understand how you can
So wait,
if you
I can't
say
read words, Andrew?
if you claim that you don't
We
understand
only
them.
say
I don't
true
know how
things
you
around
are.
here.
Yeah.
There can be no implication. There can
Okay.
be
So
no like
can
esoteric
you
meaning
read?
to anything. I
Okay.
don't
So
read.
can you read?
Yes,
I'm going to
Andrew, I
assume you
can
can.
clearly
Great.
read.
Okay. So if you can read, then how come when you read something, you decide to run it through filters and bullshit when it doesn't say that? Why do you add things to it?
I didn't add anything to it.
Well, you said the
I
best
read
way.
someone
You
say,
say, yeah.
listen to me. I read a man say,
Read it.
the
Read it.
best way to survive the apocalypse
Never
is
happened.
to.
That never happened.
You want me to go find your tweet and read it verbatim?
No, I'll read it. I'll read it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll read it for you. Hang on. I'll pull it up. And I would like to actually see what you disagree with the tweet. So here we go. Hang on. If you want, okay, if you agree, if you want does not mean the best, right? You do agree with that because we agree you can read, right? So if you want to survive any apocalyptic situation, your biggest advantage would be to exclude all females from your group or survival cell. Modern women would be completely dependent and, for most practical applications, totally useless. Now, is there any place there that I said the best anything ever?
It sounds like you're endorsing that as the,
I do endorse
primary
it.
way
I
that anyone
100%
should go
endorse the
about.
statement. Oh, you should. Yeah. So where did we get from the is? Where did we get from the is to the ought? That's what I would like to help with. Where did we get to the you should?
Let me explain. When you're touting
Okay.
something as the most successful way to do something and the most practical way to do something, it sounds like that's something that you're saying people should do.
Oh, okay, I see. So if I said, if you wanted to remove all crime from planet Earth, all you'd have to do is eliminate all of the humans. That means I endorse eliminating all the humans?
If you said that without, again, if you tweeted that, it would sound like, yeah, you're endorsing getting rid of all humans. Yes.
Okay, wait. But did I say that?
That's it's implied.
Well, yeah, I don't know what that means.
When
Implications,
you
just
call something
feelings.
practical and successful, you're
Uh-huh.
implying that it's something someone should do.
Oh, okay. So, for instance, the Japanese were very successful in World War II. That implies that the Japanese should have fought World War II?
The Japanese weren't very successful in World War II.
They were highly successful in World War II.
They lost.
Yeah, eventually
I
they
think
lost.
we have a different definition of successful.
Yeah, so okay, the Japanese had many successful battles in World War II. So this means the Japanese should have had many successful battles in World War II?
I mean, it sounds like you admire them.
Or is it just a statement of fact that the Japanese had many successful battles in World War II?
I mean, it sounds again like you're admiring them, considering you're, giving them credit for being successful.
So this is why these conversations,
since they overall lost.
Yeah, okay. Would you agree that the Japanese were successful in many battles in World War II?
I don't know. I'd probably need to study it more.
Would you agree that the Japanese won at least one battle in World War II? At least one?
Sure.
Oh, well, that sounds like you admire them. I mean, I just can't believe it. I can't believe that you admire the Japanese for winning that battle in World War II. You see how absurd that sounds to me, right?
It's not absurd to see someone call something successful and practical and assume that they're endorsing it on Twitter. No, it's not.
Yeah, well, even after you're told like 100 times this is an is statement and you still say, well, I don't care, I'm just going to keep on tweeting about it anyway, even though you literally told me it's an is, not an ought.
So, Andrew, was I the only one who took it that way? And I don't mean feminists.
But you do realize I told you that.
People.
Yeah, it's great you took it that way. But wasn't it even described to you that it was an is statement?
Was this misunderstanding just me? Yes or no?
No. Tons of stupid women misunderstood it.
Oh, no. But was it just women?
Mostly women, yeah.
No, it wasn't mostly women. I saw lots of men disagree with the way you worded it.
So what they did was feminists retweeted it and then said he's a rapist, this and that, because they're fucking crazy. And then their simps began to retweet it. And if you look at the follower counts of the simps, they have none. If you look at the follower count of the feminists, they have many.
Everyone who disagrees with you is a simp and a feminist. There's no rational people that have ever disagreed with you. You're just infallible now?
I have no idea where you came up with no people think, I don't even know what that means. I literally just got done telling you what I said was hyper specific. That what happened was very large feminist accounts retweeted it and then misinterpreted it because they're dumb. And that was hilarious. And then a bunch of their simps began to retweet it as well because they're also dumb. And that's equally hilarious. So that's what happened.
I saw lots of conservative Christians have the same reaction as some feminists because sometimes there's overlap in things that people disagree with. And I'm sorry, but you had a bad take.
Well, I mean, it's a great take.
It's
what do you mean?
Take.
It's hyper viral. It's got thousands of likes on it.
That doesn't.
What are you talking about? It's a great take.
I mean,
it's a great take. In fact, you haven't even disagreed with the take. You just disagree with how it makes you feel. Like it just makes me feel icky. That's really your whole argument.
It's not about feeling icky. It's about the fact that there's like moral duties that we have as human beings, and like you're not advancing those. You're advancing this bitterness between men and women. And that's what I wanted to talk about. How do you see the biblical male role? Like, how do you see the biblical male role? Like, what do you think a man's role is in relation to women biblically? Because I'm trying to give you a chance to like show me that you're not the guy I thought you were.
I gotta prove. I gotta prove stuff to you. No, well, I'm here to listen to your worldview. And I'll either disagree with your worldview or not disagree with your worldview and give you mine. And I think that that's fair, right? But I don't give a shit about proving. Hang on. I just want to be very clear. Wait a second.
Okay.
I literally will never give a shit if you agree. Never. Like zero to prove to you. Don't give a shit if you ever agree with it or not, right? But I will certainly educate you on what it is that I think.
That's
I'll certainly educate you.
That's
Yes.
very impressive. We're all very
Yes, I'm very kind. I'm very kind
Yes.
that way. But I'm not sure how to proceed in the conversation if you don't know the distinction between is and ought, or if you're
Well-
going to contextualize things external to what is stated. But I'm going to try anyway because I feel like we're beating a dead horse. So go ahead with your question.
So hold on. Your condescension is noted. It's not that I don't know the difference between is
Noted.
and ought. It's that
Noted.
I disagree that there wasn't an implied ought in the way that you worded your tweet and
Okay, what's
like
the implied
context
ought?
surrounding it.
Yeah, what's the implied ought? That you
I
should
told
do
you.
that? Oh, yeah, okay.
I already explained this to you that when someone makes a tweet and they don't specify otherwise, it's implying they're endorsing
Yeah.
what they're saying.
Well, if somebody's wrong and they double down, is it implied that they're stupid?
I'm not wrong, Andrew.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you just sound wrong because you keep on adding these like moral values and moral
Again,
judgments,
if I tweet
which were
the best way,
never said, ever
if
stated, not
if
not
I
once.
tweet the fastest way to get out of your house is to leave your kids behind, and I don't tweet
Mhm.
anything else, people are gonna
Yeah.
think I'm saying it's good to do that.
Yeah,
And
but
that's not stupid,
but
Andrew.
why them thinking that make them right?
It's just because that's how Twitter works, Andrew.
So if people think things on Twitter, they're right?
No, I'm
Or
saying when people tweet
Mhm.
statements without any context, like
Yeah.
the fastest way out of your house in a fire is to leave your
Mhm.
kids, and then I don't
Yep.
tweet any other context, like I'm not saying don't do this, or I'm not saying do this, I'm just
Mhm.
saying this, like
Yeah.
people are
What
going to
makes that?
assume I'm
Yeah.
telling people to leave their kids.
Oh,
Like
great. I
that's just
totally
that's
totally
just common
get
sense
it.
communication. If you don't have
Totally
the emotional
get
intelligence to communicate with people, you're
emotional
already failing.
intelligence.
Yes.
So let me get this right. I just want to make sure that I got this clear. So if you make a statement like that and other people become emotionally jarred, even though you didn't say anything about what you would or wouldn't do, you're wrong because they had an emotional reaction to
Are
what
you
you said.
denying communication is a skill?
Well, yes, but do you deny that making improper inferences is incorrect?
Are you denying you can make an improper implication by wording
Yeah,
something
no,
badly?
you can definitely make an improper implication. You
And you
can.
did that.
No, there's literally nothing
Yes.
there implied. It's emphatically stated.
I've already illustrated multiple times how it's implied. I feel like I don't need to
Well,
keep
no,
repeating
you
myself.
just say you feel that way. That's it. You
No, I
actually
mean I
haven't
illustrated
shown.
that.
You haven't shown. Well, what do you mean illustrated? What does that mean? How did you illustrate it?
If I tweeted the
Uh-huh.
fastest way out of your house is to leave
Uh-huh.
your children, and I don't
Yeah.
tweet any other context, people
Uh-huh.
are going to think that I
Yeah.
am endorsing leaving your children in a fire.
Sure, I can totally agree with that. I just don't
Because
understand
you
the
know
part
why?
where.
Because
Hang on.
communication is a skill,
Yeah,
and that
I
would be poor
just don't
communication if I didn't mean it.
I just don't understand how they would be right. That's the part I don't get.
I wouldn't blame them. I certainly wouldn't call them stupid. I would be
Yeah,
like, you know
yeah,
what, I
but
communicated that poorly.
but
You know
but
what? I mean, I
but
guess
but
that
how would they
requires
be?
a little
How
bit
would they
of humility
be?
and self-reflection.
Yeah, how would they be correct though?
They would be correct because I communicated poorly.
Yeah, but you saying that you communicated poorly, do you agree that thousands upon thousands of people understood exactly what I was saying and then described it for you
I
verbatim what I
agree
was
that
saying?
you have your own simps that will say whatever you think they want you to say. Like,
Oh, okay. Okay. But everybody else is there. It's not their simps. It's actual, those are just all rational
everybody has
agents.
simps, Andrew. Like you said
Oh,
it to Jess
okay.
earlier. Everybody has
Uh-huh.
fans.
Fans are not simps, by the way. Simps
You know what I mean.
yeah, that's not a simp. But this aside, there was plenty of people who talked to you who
Head
said they were
injury.
not my fans. They said they were not my fans. And you
No,
still, yeah,
most of the people who were like, oh
most is not
no, like
all.
they had to completely add like layers and layers of context to what you said in
They
order to
no.
defend you.
They added no layers to it. They just
No,
told you
they had to add a whole
specifically
bunch of
this
stuff
is an
you didn't
is.
say in order
Mhm.
to defend you. And I'm like,
No.
I'm like, all of
Just
this would
because
be
you
valid if he
demanded,
had actually said any of that.
No. You just made endless demands that they do so. They all say, and I can go through and read them. They all just say, "Why don't you understand is from ought? Why don't you get that? Why don't
Because
you
you
understand?
already
Why
had
don't you
said
understand?"
that.
No, I've never.
Anyway,
I
so do you want to
okay.
talk about worldviews? Because we're just going in
Yeah,
circles, and this is
yeah. We can
really
get in the
boring.
worldview, but like an is and a not, it's going to be really hard to talk about it if you just contextualize
Again, I've
everything through
already
the filter.
clarified that I understand the difference.
All right. Well, we'll see as the conversation proceeds. But go ahead.
Sure.
What's your question?
All right. Again, what is your view on biblical masculinity? What do you think is the male role in a marriage?
Oh, in a marriage. So
Well,
I
like
think
from a
that
biblical standpoint, though, like
yeah,
why did God? What does God
yeah.
expect from a
So
man
so
in
I'll
relation?
express it.
Mostly his wife, but women in general.
Yeah. So I'll express it. So marriage is a reflection of Christ in the church. The woman is the reflection of the body, which is the church, and the man is the reflection of Christ, who is the head. So the man is the reflection of the head of the marriage, and the woman the body of the marriage.
All right. What
That's the
about value? Are they equal in value, or is there a disparity there?
equal in which way?
Value.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell me anything. I need to know what value means here.
Like, does God value a man over a woman?
He has valued a man over a woman before, and he has valued a woman over a man before.
So, is God a respecter of persons?
But when you're asking these questions, I'm not trying to be pedantic or trick you, right? But I do need you to actually clarify what you're asking. So I think what you're asking, let me be as charitable as I can be. Andrew, do you think that men and women have equal ontological value to each other? Their being is just as valuable. So a woman's soul is just as valuable as a man's soul. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. So, what does male leadership look like in a marriage
Well, I mean,
biblically?
so this is going to fall under economia. It's going to look differently everywhere that you go, because when you're talking about Christian virtues and you're talking about the commandments in which you adhere to, so that you can comply with those virtues, you can't strictly look at this legalistically. And let me explain what I mean by that. So I gave this example in the earlier debate with the other gal. You agree with me that one of the commandments is to honor thy mother and father, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you agree that that's going to be dependent upon region and customs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way around it, right? So if you're in a region where taking your shoes off when you walk into a house is considered respectful, versus walking with your shoes on in a different region, you would agree that we could not be legalistic to the principle, right? Because they're just considered respectful in one region versus another. You would agree with that?
Yeah, I think Paul kind of touched on that, where he said, you want to kind of blend in wherever you are in order to not offend, in order to, be in a position to get your message across. So I would agree with
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I think that I think we're talking about two different things, right? So I think he's talking about like going where degenerates are and trying to, you still have to adhere to your biblical principles, but you're trying not to cause an uproar or havoc because you're trying to get your message out there. Okay.
Right.
As
Yeah, but it's
opposed
still the
to the
same
idea,
concept.
kind of. What I'm talking about is the concept of economia. And the concept of economia is saying, like, look, the adherence to these principles are far more important than the legalistic way in which you dictate the principle. So, like, honor thy mother and thy father. You could do the same thing with, with basically any commandment. Even if you're talking about murder, there's going to be different regional justifications for what taking a life unjustly is. So you have to adhere to the principle and what the principle of the thing is, right? Like that's so when you're talking about what does leadership look like in a marriage, in a Christian marriage, right? You're going to have to adhere to the principle, but there's also going to be like kind of these regional distinctions for what good leadership would mean. Do you agree with that?
I would say that, obviously there's going to be some variation, but I think Christ modeled a very specific type of leadership. And I think that, given that men are assigned the role of Christ,
Okay, well, what
Therefore,
type of
they
leadership
should
was that? Explain it
imitate.
to me.
It's servant leadership. It's where you
Well,
place the needs and well-being of those you're leading above yourself.
okay. So, but you can agree that that's going to look totally different depending on where you're at.
Can I have an example?
Yeah, well, I mean, even here in the United States, that would be fairly regional. So, do you agree that men can be working way too hard on behalf of their family and it degrades their health?
I mean, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
like it
there's
depends on what
really
their job is and
yeah,
stuff,
right.
but
Sure, I agree. It depends on what their job is, all that stuff. And do you agree that if he's degraded, that his ability to put you ahead of him is going to greatly reduce because now he's going to need to be taken care of?
well, see, I think you're strawmanning me a little bit. I don't think I
I
said
don't
that
think
the
I am.
woman, well, I don't think I said the woman doesn't have any responsibility or role to
I
support
didn't say you
her
did,
husband.
right? So I'm giving you my position. So I'm telling you my position. I'm not even
I mean,
attacking
I
yours.
also don't think I said that men need to work themselves to death in order
Did
to
never
put the
said
welfare of the wife
no. I
above.
said that. I said that. Right. So
Right.
to separate our positions, talking about my position, right? I just asked you a question, and the question was, could this be the case? So what is the answer? Can a man degrade himself to the point, working way too hard on behalf of his family, where it's actually detrimental to his family for him to do that?
But I mean, like, I don't understand what's the purpose of
I,
bringing
I
that
would
point
just, I
because
would
no
just
one's.
like an answer to the question. Can you just answer it?
It seems leading. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
It seems like a leading
I don't,
question.
yeah, I don't care. Can you answer it? I don't know why you can't answer the
I mean, of
questions.
course, a man can work too hard, but I'm saying who's asking him to? Like that's
Yeah,
what it's like. It kind of
nobody's asking
implies
him.
that
I'm
my
saying
point
nobody's,
is
who cares if nobody's asking him? Can a man work really, really, really hard on behalf of his family and it be detrimental to his health to do so?
of course he can.
Okay, great. So now that we've established that that is true, then when you're talking about leadership or what you consider to be servant leadership, putting the servant's needs above your own, I would argue to you that that means that you need to be healthy and well adjusted. And you need to have plenty of rest, and you need to not have a vexing fucking wife, and you need to have not a bunch of nagging hags around you, right? Otherwise, you can't lead nobody nowhere.
Okay, but like, why do you frame it that way? Like, who's arguing you should have a nag and people should be vexing you and people should be
Well,
like
so
stressing you out? Like,
so
who's
what
arguing
is
that?
so when you say putting, I'm giving you an example of how even regionally here, the idea of servant leadership, the way that you framed it, is going to look very different just depending on family dynamics. Some families are going to have vexing ass wives. Some families are not. Some are going to have very supportive wives, but the man is still working way too hard and doing something wrong, degrading himself in such a way where he cannot continue to work. So maybe he's putting their needs too high above his own. Right? This is not a clear picture when you say putting the needs of somebody above you. It's not clear exactly what that means, right? I'm
Well,
not
sure,
sure
but I mean,
exactly
we
what
can
that means.
discuss it and I can flesh it out for you a little bit.
Go
If
ahead, flesh it out.
Because, like, I'm noticing a pattern with you is like, rather than communicate in a way that draws something together, you're a little
Mhm.
bit divisive. Like, you instantly
Yeah.
go to like, oh, the nagging bitchy wife, and it's like that's unnecessary. I mean,
Well, okay.
first of all, like,
Necessary is an entanglement of ideas, right? So what
but
I
I'm
do is,
saying
I untangle ideas. So I untangle everything, right? I'm not meshing all this shit together. I'm going to untangle each individual idea so that we can tackle them one at a time,
okay, but there's a
right?
very you're doing it in such a way that slants it. It's like looking through a colored lens, and you're putting a colored lens over it to look at it through a certain point of view that paints the man as a victim
Yeah,
of
I
what
mean,
I just said, and the woman
I can't help.
as a
I can't do anything about your
persecutor.
emotion. Yeah, I can't do anything about your emotional state or your
Well, wait a minute.
feelings.
You said nagging wife, and it's
Uh-huh.
like we're not even trying to bring that kind of division into this conversation yet. So I'm
Yeah,
saying you
no, well,
colored
wait,
it, and
wait,
then
that's
you're
really weird.
accusing. Hold on, you
What?
colored it negatively. You colored it negatively, and then
Oh,
you're
oh,
accusing me of having an emotional reaction by pointing
yeah.
out that you colored it
Yeah,
negatively.
I
Do you see?
literally explained to you that based on regional differences, you could have a nagging wife, or you could have this happening, or you could have that happening, which makes it unclear what this servant-master relationship is. It was totally clarified for you, and you're
So,
still having an emotional reaction about it. Why don't you just calm
okay,
down and
Andrew,
engage with the arguments? Just
I'm
do that.
I'm not having an emotional reaction, but I would ask you, did when Jesus died for his bride, what did she look like? Was she perfect?
You mean for humanity when he died for humanity? Is that what you mean by
His
bride?
his bride,
Well, I
like
want to make sure I know what you mean when you say bride.
his
What is the
bride are the
bride?
people that ultimately accepted the gift.
Okay,
So
so
he died
humanity.
for
Got
all
it.
of humanity, but only the people
Hmm.
that actually bother to accept are part of the bride. So was the bride perfect? Was she not nagging, like very, very well behaved wife when he died for her?
Well, so again, this is a loaded question, right? So again,
Oh,
I'm going to untangle the loadedness of the question. So when you say bride and you say Jesus Christ did not come to die for all sins, but only
I
for
said
some
he did
people's
actually.
sins?
I said he died for all mankind, but the only people that are saved are those who accept. So I said he
Okay.
died for all sins, but unfortunately not everybody
Okay.
accepts it.
Okay. So did he die for everybody or did he die for what you call the bride?
He died for everybody, but his
Okay.
bride are the people that accept the gift. So in other words, they
Okay.
put their faith in him.
Well, so I don't understand the distinction then. If you're saying the bride's imperfect, isn't everybody imperfect?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't really understand why you made the statement of the bride. What is the
The
special meaning there?
because we're comparing Christ and his church to the
Hmm.
marriage. So I'm saying when Christ laid down his life for his church, was his bride perfect? The answer is no. So
Okay.
should a man really
Hmm.
be picking and choosing whether he chooses to lay down himself for his wife based on her behavior?
Yeah, he should, of course. Why
Oh,
shouldn't he? Yeah,
well,
why
why?
shouldn't
So
he?
should so then why did Christ die for us then?
I'm sorry, did Christ choose to lay down his life or was he forced to?
He voluntarily did.
He did it voluntarily. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. You
So
don't
so
think
let me
he did?
ask. Yeah, so no, I do think he did. That's my point.
Yeah.
So I would like to note, let's say that your wife the night before, the night before you're into a mugging, you get into a mugging where you're held at gunpoint, okay, and the night before your wife had gone and gotten I don't know gangbanged by like 5 dudes, okay, and you found out about it, and you're walking down the street and a mugger stops you and he has a gun on you. You think he should die for her?
Yes.
I mean, I thought you would, right? Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say so. I'd say that what has happened there is she has completely violated the marriage and they're no longer one flesh, right? She's already
Well, then
destroyed
I
it.
don't think you've read Hosea. And I also don't think that you actually understand the fact that Christ literally was in that exact situation. Everyone he
Hmm.
died for has betrayed him, and yet he died for them anyway. So, what he's asking
No,
husbands
well,
to
wait,
do when
wait,
they
no, no,
take
no.
a covenant,
Everybody he died for didn't betray him. What are you talking about?
yes, sin is a
No.
betrayal of God. Sin is against
Oh,
God.
well, okay. So this is why
So,
we have to
everyone he died for
clarify.
had
This is
betrayed
why
him,
we
and yet he died for them
literally,
anyway.
because it's Protestant prattle, we literally have to clarify every fucking word that you say, every one of them, because
So, sin is not a betrayal of God?
you use loaded statements, right? When you say betrayal, right,
Uh huh.
and you say everybody betrayed him,
Yes.
so there's going to be a commons to that, the common use of betrayal. That would be the common word that we would use when we say betray. And then there's going to be this spiritual aspect of betrayal, which is a different term. And so what you're doing is you're combining both of those categories as though they're one category. They're not one category. There's going to be a commons use, and then there's going to be a spiritual use. Just like with lawyers speak, let's say. Lawyers in law, there's going to be a word that's used in the commons, and in its lawful way is going to have a different meaning. So when you load those two things together, right, you make a conflation error. So I have to untangle every one of these ideas every single time we move into them, because otherwise you're just going to conflate them over and over and over again. Now, did each of his apostles Judas him? No. Okay, so that's no. So not all of his apostles betrayed him, at least not as I understand the common word of betrayal. Now, if you're talking about is sin a betrayal of God? No, I don't think sin is a betrayal of God. Where did you get this idea that it's a betrayal?
Whosoever committeth sin, transgression also the law, for sin is a transgression of the law.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is David in Psalm 51:4. Against you, you only have I sinned and done what is evil in your sight. For everyone who has sinned is fallen short of God's glorious standard. That's Romans 3:23. So on
I'm sorry.
and so forth.
Hang on. I'm just waiting for the word betrayal.
It's not the word betrayal, but the point is
Well, then hang on.
sin.
So this
Sin
is why we have to untangle every word, because otherwise, hang on. We got to untangle it. We have to untangle it. If we don't untangle every single word, then you're just going to Protestant prattle me to death, right? So anywhere, can we start with this? Anywhere in that, and of course, here we go. Deflect.
Can I ask you to please talk to me respectfully without using words like Protestant prattle and without being condescending?
No.
Because I'm not doing it to you.
I talk how I talk, lady.
I'm not doing it to you, Andrew.
It has nothing to do with any. This is just tone policing. Jeez, just have the conversation. Just have the conversation. Stop. Well, then stop whining. Oh my God, stop whining. Stop whining, and let's have the conversation. So, back to where I was at before you started incessantly whining. Can you show me where the word betrayal is? Am I the only man who's ever talked to you who doesn't infantilize you and treats you like every other person?
So you're arguing that sin is not against God. So
Nope. This is why, again, we have to define every single word, because you just moved the goalpost, right? Did I say sin wasn't against God? Or did I say it was not a betrayal? Hang on. Not a betrayal. You were very specific on this word betrayal, and then you were going to show me your proofs via scripture.
So
and scripture, hang on. Hey, stop. My turn.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh God, my turn.
Just don't go on so long. Go on.
When you went through your entire scripture, you never showed me the word betrayal and sin. Sin is a betrayal of God. Never showed me that.
Yes, you've already made that point. Can we back? Let me back up.
Yeah, back up.
Let's just fix this.
Okay.
The woman who slept with 5 men sinned against her husband. All of us that Christ has died for have sinned against him. So now let's move forward.
Okay. So let me just make sure I got this clear. How much bullshit do you expect a man to put up with from a woman? Do you expect for a man, for instance, do you consider a woman who goes and gets gangbanged behind her man's back, do you consider her to still be married to him?
People are married until they're divorced. But I mean,
hang on. No, hang on. Marriage, when we're talking about marriage, sacramental marriage is different than legal marriage. You agree with me, right? Like state marriage means nothing. The sacrament of marriage is what means something, right?
We keep getting off into the weeds here.
This is not into the weeds. This is a direct challenge to what you're saying.
So are you disagreeing that men are expected to love their wives as Christ loved the church? Do you disagree that
of course
Christ
not.
died for the church even though she sinned against him greatly?
No, not at all.
Past, present, and future. Okay, then. So we don't need to talk about women getting gangbanged.
No, we still need to talk about it. Yeah.
No,
we still need to talk about it. Yeah, we do.
I'll tell you why. Because the framing of this argument, is like
you
you're
don't like
implying
it.
that I.
Yeah, you don't like the entailment.
It's like you're implying that I'm endorsing a woman going out and cheating on her husband, and I'm not, because we haven't even gotten to that side of it yet.
Yeah, but I'm trying to, and you keep on saying you won't. I'm not framing anything.
You've managed to frame
I'm just asking you a question, lady. Are you still married to a man sacramentally? If you go fuck 5 guys the night before, you get mugged, and should he lay down his life for you? Are you still married to him or not?
Listen, You have framed
Yeah,
this argument in
still
such a
not answering
way.
the question. Still not answering the question.
You frame this argument in such a way that you're forcing me to defend a woman who has had sex with 5 guys when that's never been my argument that a woman should do that. And
I
it's
know.
coming
Great.
across
I
like
agree.
you're
It's not.
painting me into a corner to defend that when that was never my position.
I'm sorry. Can you answer the question? Do you know how to answer questions? So the question
I
is,
think I've made it very clear I know how to
if a
answer
woman,
questions.
okay, great. So can you answer this? I'll ask it again. Woman goes, right? Gang bang night before, multiple orgasms. Guy pisses in her face. She has the time of her life. Okay. Her poor husband's at home with the kids, has no idea this is going on. They still married?
They are still married, yes.
They're still sacramentally, you think they're still married?
They are still married until they get divorced.
And who has the power to grant that divorce?
In Israel, no matter what happened, they had to seek a divorce from the priests at the time.
Okay, so who has the power right now to grant you a divorce? Sacramental divorce.
Like the church?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Well,
Who
right
has the
now,
power to
it's
grant you a divorce?
in our society, we go to a court to get divorced.
Hmm. Do you agree there's a difference between that you can get married without ever going to a courthouse? That you never have to have a legal marriage document to be married. It's a sacrament, right?
Yes, you can
You
enter a covenant without
yes.
going to a courthouse. Yes, you
Great. Okay,
can.
so who has the ability from your worldview to end that covenant?
The person who like created it.
You?
You can't just instantly end a covenant. Like you
Then
can't
who can end
end a
it? Who can
covenant.
end it? Then who can end it?
Again, it's a process. In Israel, when people got divorced, it was a process that they
Yeah,
had
okay,
to
we're
take
not
to the
in
priest.
Israel. I'm in right now. I'm in West Virginia, and I don't know where you are, but I assume it's not in Israel. If you have a sacramental marriage, if you have a covenant marriage, from your worldview, who can end it? Who ends it?
Biblically, you would need to take it to an authority to end the marriage.
Who?
You don't
Who
just
is that?
you
Who is
don't just
that for
end it on
you?
your own.
Who's that for you, Protestant? Who? Who is it? Who's
It would
that for
be
Protestant girl? Who is it?
it would be a courthouse.
Wait, that's legal marriage. That's not the sacrament of marriage. Otherwise, secularists are going and getting the sacrament of marriage done? What?
None of this is disproving that a man, when he enters a marriage covenant, is required to
Well, okay.
lead his wife in the
Hang
way
on. I
that
think it
Jesus.
is. I think we're proving a lot actually. So, if marriage is a sacrament, a covenant, as you put it, right? And you don't need the state to be involved whatsoever, then how do you end that covenant, lady? How?
Marriage is not a covenant that just ends because someone makes a mistake. Marriage is a
Okay, well,
covenant that
what
has
ends
to
it?
be officially broken.
By who?
Again, it's God's institution, and
Uh-huh.
and in God's Bible, people had to go to a priest to end their marriage.
Okay, so wait a second. Um, you, right? You, I assume, have
This
a
wasn't
sacrament.
my
Hang on,
argument.
hang
I
on. I
wasn't
assume. I know it's my argument. I assume you have a sacramental marriage as well as a legal marriage, right?
correct.
Now let's assume the legal part wasn't there. It was just sacramental. Who do you go to end it?
So where's the line here, Andrew?
I
So like
wish you would
if
answer
my
the
husband yells at me
questions.
tomorrow, is my marriage over?
Okay, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with anything I just
Well, what
said.
I'm saying is like you're
Who
basically saying so
so
you're
stop
saying an
changing the
action.
goalposts, just shifting the goalposts. You married sacramentally. Let us assume there was no court ever. No court. You never went to a court, you never got a document. You still consider it marriage, just like I do. From your perspective, who ends that marriage? Who has the power to end it?
So my question now
Oh
is
my
that
God, this is so fucking ridiculous. Why won't you answer me? Why?
because I'm trying to clarify something.
Because you
Can I
don't
ask a
fucking know,
clarify?
right? Because you don't know. Just say, I don't know, Andrew. I don't know. Just say it.
So hold on. Can I just end my marriage if my husband does something wrong? Like, and I say, well, I guess our marriage is over because you made a mistake. And like, there's no process whatsoever. Is
I don't
that what you're
see.
trying to say?
I have no idea what prevents a Protestant from doing this. I have no clue. That's why I'm
So
asking you.
so
Who
you've
has
turned this
the
into a
so
Protestant
so who has the
versus
authority?
Orthodox thing?
No, I'm not even doing that. I'm just
That
asking
is
you
what you're doing
who.
though, because I'm asking you.
Why
I'm
can't you
saying so.
answer my question, lady? Why won't you answer it? Who has the power to end your marriage? Who? Please answer me. Please, pretty please, with sugar on top, with sprinkles. Pretty please. I'll send you some ice cream in the mail. Whatever you want. Please answer the question.
A courthouse is the only way that Protestants can get divorced.
Oh my God. Okay, so here's my question again. Let us assume you got married without a courthouse. Who would have the ability to end that marriage? Who?
It would have to be an agreement to break the covenant between two people.
Oh, so you are the ender? Is that
So that's
correct?
what I'm asking. It's like, so what you're saying that the minute someone does something wrong, a marriage is over?
Never said anything like that. You just keep putting words in my mouth. So back to this. You are the person who would end the marriage. Is that correct?
The idea is not to.
Yeah, I get it that that's the idea. But who can?
Why do I need someone to end my marriage?
I'm just asking you who can.
Can someone end your relationship with Jesus?
Just asking who can.
Can someone end your relationship with Jesus?
No. Now please answer my question.
Who ends that relationship?
Oh my God. Why are you being so obtuse? You who has the ability to end
You were the
your
one who, in the
marriage.
beginning of this
This
conversation,
is
said that the
insane.
husband is Jesus. So who ends that relationship?
Is this being, I sure hope that this is, hang on a second. Let me just check something here real quick. This is absolutely fucking wild. Okay, so without asking a question, you can ask whatever you want after. That's fine, and I'll answer it with just a quick yes or no. Who, if there's no court involved, right? Fuck, let's say it is the apocalypse, and you get a sacramental marriage done. Whatever the process is, you do that. Who has the ability to end it?
Andrew, why do you always need people to state obvious statements? People can walk away from anything at any time they want. That doesn't change the authority behind it.
Okay, so who has the
Anybody can
authority?
abandon somebody else.
Yeah, who has the authority to end the marriage?
Technically, God. But I mean, you're right that people can just walk away from each other over bad behavior. You're
Okay,
correct
wait,
that
wait.
but anyone can do that at any time,
So
even
if
an
you,
Orthodox
so I
person.
just want to make sure, if you have a covenant marriage, and you don't want to be married anymore, right? What's the process for that?
The courthouse.
The courthouse doesn't exist in this scenario. There is no
Then
courthouse.
you just walk away and you abandon the covenant.
Okay, got you. You just walk away, you abandon the covenant. So you are the person who is the ultimate arbiter of when you're married and when you're divorced. Is that correct?
No, God is.
Okay, okay, God is. So if the guy the next day is sitting there at gunpoint and he looks over at you and he says, "Well, you gangbanged 5 guys last night. We're not married anymore." Is he wrong?
He might be,
What? Based on what?
based on Hosea. Have you read Hosea?
Wait. Yes, of course, but what does this have to do with anything? How could he be wrong if you're the ultimate arbiter of when you get divorced?
So can I talk now? I've kind of
Yeah,
let
go
you
ahead.
go on for a while now.
Yeah,
Hosea was
because I had
sent.
to beat an answer out of you for 40 minutes. It was ridiculous, but go ahead.
Yes, you're very smart. Hosea
I
went and
know.
had to marry a prostitute,
Mhm.
and then she went back to prostitution. And
Mhm.
Hosea went to God with the very complaint that you're saying this other guy has that you've invented, and this
Mhm.
woman you've invented that you're forcing me to defend.
Mhm.
And God said,
Yeah.
no, you have to stay married to her. Why? Because she represents all of you to me.
Okay.
And that's the point I'm making is that if
So
men
then
are going to take on a role of
okay.
Christ, which is
Okay.
why marriage is such a big deal, then men are basically saying no matter what this woman does, even if she turns out, which is why people should be very careful who they marry, because no matter what this woman does, I'm responsible for her.
Okay,
Is what a
got
man
it.
is saying.
Got it. Wait a second. I just want to make sure that I got this correct then. You believe that there's no justification for divorce?
So if you read the Bible, God
I'm asking you a question. Do you believe that there is no justification for divorce?
there is
Ever?
no justification for a divorce, except God made exceptions because the hard hearts of the people, which I think you can probably relate to.
Okay, so wait a second. So what is the justification for, are there justifications for divorce or not? Yeah,
Technically,
yes or
no, there's
no?
not. No,
There's not. Okay,
no.
so then if you got divorced, you would never remarry.
I would never get divorced at this point in my life.
Okay,
Now that I
your
know
husband,
Jesus.
if your husband fell and broke his neck, right, which is horrible, right? But I'm just using this for a hypothetical. Your husband broke his neck, he's dead, you're never going to remarry.
That's not divorce, though. That's
Okay,
widow.
okay. So your husband cheats on you every day. He brings women home and he makes them blow him in front of you. Can you get a divorce then?
I probably wouldn't live with them, but I don't think I would get a divorce. No.
Well, okay, so if he sent you videos on your cell phone of him snorting crack cocaine out of her ass crack, and he laughed and said, haha, bitch, I love this shit. This is awesome. Woohoo. And then he downed a fifth of whiskey. This is not grounds for divorce. Is that correct?
It's not biblical grounds for divorce. No.
Okay, gotcha. So if you caught your husband diddling children, that is not grounds for divorce, correct?
That's grounds for prison, Andrew.
Yeah.
I'm
Is it grounds
surprised
for
at the shit that comes
is
out
it
of your mouth,
grounds
honestly.
is it grounds for divorce?
It's grounds for prison. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
need
know.
a
Great.
divorce because
I
he's going to be
agree.
in prison.
Yeah, he'll be in prison, but are you still going to be married to him in prison?
I'm not going to marry anyone else.
Okay, so it's not grounds for divorce if hypothetically a person, and I'm not even saying your husband, it's literally a hypothetical. I know you have trouble with these, but so I'll just use a different example.
There's that sneaky
Some
condescension
guy,
again.
so it's not sneaky, it's just upfront.
Mhm.
So if a guy diddled a bunch of kids, the wife has no grounds to
Why
divorce
is
her.
this where you want to take the conversation?
Because
This
I'm
is
testing
weird.
your logic. I know that it's uncomfortable
You're
when you have your
taking the
logic tested.
conversation way off
You're
track, and
just whining. You're just whining.
no,
They're
you're
like,
taking the
I
conversation
just want
way
to make
off
sure we're
track, and you're
totally
honestly being
clear.
vulgar. Like, why can't we
Oh,
talk
I'm sorry.
normally?
I'm sorry. It's vulgar. Do you admit that
Are
there's
you
men who diddle
drinking right
kids?
now?
Do you admit that there's men who diddle kids that are married? Do you admit that
Why do
that's
you want
true?
to talk about this? Like I already said,
Because
those
I
men
want.
belong in prison.
Yeah, great. But can the wife divorce them?
I'm sure most would. Biblically, you're not supposed to just get divorced.
Okay, so
Like
if
God said,
so
don't
so
get divorced. Do you
so
know
then
why,
I want to
Andrew?
make sure
Why?
that if your husband
Why
is
does God hate
diddling,
divorce, Andrew?
so hang on, if your husband,
Wait, let's take this
if
full circle. Why
bro,
does God hate divorce?
oh my God, okay, what I'm gonna just grant anything you say,
Why does God hate divorce?
whatever reason you think he does, I'm just granting it.
No, I want
Why?
it. This
I'm
is for
literally
this is
granting
for
your
the listener.
argument.
Why does God hate divorce?
I'm granting your argument. Whatever the reason is, I just grant it as being
So
true.
you don't want to
Whatever it
answer
is.
why? It's
I literally
because
just did. It doesn't matter.
no,
Whatever the
I'm
reason
going
is,
to
doesn't
answer
matter.
because I want
Okay,
people
go
to
ahead and
know.
answer.
This is
Go ahead
why
and answer.
God hates divorce because the marriage represents his relationship with us, and he would never leave us even when we sin.
Got it.
So
Okay.
he doesn't want us to leave each other in the same way he never wants to leave us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
it's not
I
about the
got it.
horrible, it's not about the
Yep.
horrible, disgusting things you can imagine in your
Mm-hmm.
brain to yell at me.
I'm
It's
not yelling
about
at you. I'm just
God's
asking you a
commitment
question you want
to
answered. Yeah.
salvation when we
Great.
put our faith in him.
That's great. I'm just
Okay,
testing the
your
logic
like
to this.
your worldly, disgusting brain obviously
Mm-hmm.
amazes me that you call yourself a Christian. I
Oh,
can't believe
okay.
you want to
Sorry,
talk
I
about
tested your
diddling
logic.
kids so much. That's insane.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I tested your logic, and it's very uncomfortable.
You're
and I'm
not
going to keep.
testing my logic.
Yeah, I'm
You just
testing your
don't seem to
logic.
understand where I'm
I
coming from.
understand it fine. I'm just testing your logic. Unfortunately, you can't you can't make logical separations. You insert your emotion everything that's stated.
You mean I insert God everywhere?
Which is why it's so difficult to talk with you, because
I don't know if you can
anytime I
tell that I'm
ask
not
you
emotional.
anytime I ask you a question, you refuse to answer it. So I'm just going to ask this again. I want to be clear. That's why I'm asking these
Sure.
questions on your position.
Let's go back to surface level.
If a woman's husband, okay, is diddling kids and having
Oh
sex
my
with
God.
dead bodies is that grounds? Is that
Lord have
grounds?
mercy on this man.
Can you answer the question? Is that grounds for divorce?
Biblically, no.
Oh, no.
Biblically,
Okay.
people are not supposed to leave each other.
Okay.
But obviously, you would try not to marry someone who would be that depraved.
Got it. So I
In the
just want to
first
make
place.
sure. So now that we're clear, right? I just want to give you the entailment of your argument here so that you understand it. Okay.
Sure.
The
Here
Orthodox
comes the
Church.
straw man.
Nope. I'm giving you my position. My position.
Yeah.
Can't straw man yours if I'm giving you mine.
Uh-huh.
So the Orthodox Church, right, grants divorces. So does the
Yes.
Catholic Church, right? Now,
Yes.
the thing that's so interesting about this is I just want the parallel to the audience to be known that in your worldview, if a man is fucking diddling children and fucking dead bodies, that you need to stay married to him, and that you don't even know who the authority is outside of yourself to break a covenant marriage, even if you wanted to. And you think that that's compelling to anybody ever? Does that even sound correct to you?
So you want me to answer? Or are you
Yep.
going to keep talking? All right.
Want you to answer.
All right. The reason it's quote unquote compelling
Mhm.
is because one, I would never advocate anyone marry somebody that abusive, obviously in the first place. The idea
Sure.
is not to get into a covenant with anyone who doesn't already love Jesus. This is
Yeah, but
why
people
this
change,
is
right?
this is why you make sure that you don't become unequally yoked with somebody, especially if when you get married, you already know Christ. You find another person who knows Christ.
Yeah, but you don't
Okay?
know, right? People
However,
change. People change.
However, like I said, the Bible says that God never intended for man and woman to get divorced. However, he made exceptions due to the hardness of people's hearts, which tells us that it is still supposed to be something that you only do under the worst of circumstances.
Yeah, but you
And
just
so
said you shouldn't do it under any circumstances.
the point is that getting divorced from somebody is supposed to be the same as like cutting off your leg. So you're supposed to try every last thing you can before
Mhm.
you would divorce your spouse, which again is why you have to be very careful when you're entering in. Okay?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So the point, and the reason this is compelling is because
Mhm.
when you consider that most cases are not like, you sound like a pro-abortionist who's like, what if the 10-year-old was raped? And it's like you're
Yeah,
coming
I
up with
know.
the
I would
craziest scenario.
I would actually have, good arguments against that. I would never in a million years tell a woman that she had to stay in a relationship with a man who beat her every day and diddled children. That's your
I've not said
position.
anyone has to.
No,
one
you're
has to do
advocating, literally advocating right this second that for you to leave a man like that, you are breaking
No, you can
you are
leave
breaking
them,
up
but
your marriage.
like for example,
Divorce,
if my
yes,
husband goes to
divorce.
prison, I don't need
Uh-huh.
to divorce him to get remarried. I could just be away from him. Okay? The point is
What?
divorce and
Wait, what?
remarriage.
I don't even understand what do you mean? Be away from him and then you can marry someone else?
No, I don't need to get married to someone else. The point is like as a Christian woman, I've made a commitment to a man who may
Uh-huh.
fall. I don't think he's going to fall so bad as some of the
Mm-hmm.
stuff you've described because I think that I'm a better judge of character than that. However, I think he's probably going to make mistakes. If he ever makes let's say, like you said, he cheats on me, for example, something
Mm-hmm.
not quite so graphic and vulgar,
Uh-huh.
I would maybe go live with my dad away from him
Uh-huh.
either until he repents and shows evidence of change, or we just die that way. I'm not, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to
Okay.
get divorced because
Yeah.
like
Right.
I made a
So I
covenant
just
that I was
gotcha.
going
I
to
just
be
want to
married
make
to this
sure.
person.
So I just want to make sure then the entailment of this I was correct about, and that if one of your girly friends came to you and said, Chuck, we found out he molested 50 kids and fucked a dead horse. I'd really like to get a divorce. Your recommendation to her is, no, you should definitely leave and live away from him. But that's it for you, girl. You're done. Your fertile years, they're behind you. Because now you have to live away from him, and you can never get remarried, and you can never get a divorce, no matter what. I just want to make sure that that's your position, that that's what you tell her.
I honestly don't know that that's exactly what I would tell her.
But that's what you think, right?
The point I was trying to make was that
Mhm.
God took marriage very seriously and he never intended for divorce to be an option.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, is when you're referencing the hardness of people's hearts, okay, what's being stated here is marriage itself is a union of one flesh. However, one person can completely break that union and void the marriage. They can completely destroy the marriage and void it, right? And you just don't take that into account because you read Hosea and think you know what that means. You think that Hosea means that if your husband diddled 50 little kids when you were 22 in your most fertile years, okay, and started banging dead bodies, that means that if you live away from him and you ever sleep with another guy in order to reproduce, right, on this earth, that you are breaking or in some way this is an insult to God. This is some horrible thing that you're doing by getting rid of this guy, divorcing him, and remarrying. And there's literally no justification for this in Christian history. Zero. There have always been in all of Christian history, for church history, there have always been exemptions for abuse, for addiction, and for situations like that. Did you know that?
Of course I know that.
Yeah. So the thing is why would you be advocating and telling women that they
I'm
would need
not.
to stay? You literally just said you would. You literally just said, yes, I
No.
would. Yes. You okay, I'm sorry.
I
Should that woman
literally
get a
told
divorce?
you.
Should that woman get a divorce?
I literally told you
Yeah, you're not going to answer,
that
of course.
when God established marriage, he didn't intend for people to get divorced. He says he allowed divorce only because of the hardness of their hearts. Meaning,
Gotcha.
like, obviously, we live in a fallen world, and yeah, people are going to go beyond the pale. But obviously, like, the point is that grieves God, is the point I'm trying to make. And the
Yeah.
reason that grieves God
Should that
is
woman get a
because,
divorce? Should she?
yes, she should get a divorce.
Thank you. My God. Oh my God. I can't believe you answered a question. This is so good. I am so happy.
I've
I'm
answered
literally
many
the
questions,
happiest. I'm literally
Andrew.
the happiest I've been right this second than I have been in weeks because I got you to actually change
I've
your
been
position.
answering questions for
I got
hours.
you to actually change your position and answer in the affirmative. I like this. I'm elated. I
I'm
am
not
elated.
changing my position. I'm trying to explain that God, I've been saying this from the beginning. God allowed divorce like in a fallen state, but that's not his like ideal will. Of course, like I'm not like, oh, what if this guy diddles 20 kids? My question is, why is someone married to somebody like that? Like you don't like.
Oh,
You see what
I'm
I'm
sorry.
saying?
I didn't know. I didn't know that that human beings were able to read each other's minds and were able to look in crystal balls to see the future. See, I thought that human beings can be extremely unpredictable, volatile. Their entire personalities can change overnight depending on circumstances. And the person that you married could have been perfect and turned into a fucking monster and it had nothing to do with you. I thought that was true, but I guess I was wrong. What were you thinking? That
I
should be what I
started
tell
this
people.
conversation
Can
and
you
I'm
believe
trying.
you telling me that I'm a big old meanie head and a bad man when you just got done saying, what business do you have marrying this perfectly good human being who turned into a monster? Like you're supposed to be. Do you think that you have the foreknowledge to be able to foretell that?
I think that people can get to know people before they get married. Yes.
Okay, yeah, you get to
I
know them for
think there's
5 years
probably
and they're
very,
great. They're great.
I
They're
think
perfect.
I think there's probably like rare scenarios where complete monsters can like hide that they're a complete monster. But I don't think that's common enough for you to be like beating me over the head with it when I was trying to make a broader point. Like you're
No, you
taking,
haven't made any points. You've just evaded questions, and I got you to change your position on this. And by the way, you replay the recording, and you'll see I got you to state your position like 30 times, and now you've changed it. Your legs must actually hurt from that much backpedaling.
so can we like continue where I was trying to go with this?
Go ahead.
So when a man enters into a marriage covenant, he's supposed to be a servant leader, right?
Okay.
Yes or no?
No, I don't know what that
No?
means. Yeah, I don't know what that means, a servant leader.
All right. So, like I said an hour ago, that's where the leader puts the well being of the people he's leading above his own.
Yeah, no, well, I would have a caveat with this. So I would say that that's a man's role, but I also think it's a woman's role to put her man's needs above her own.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay, so who's leading? So if our criteria for leadership is just putting somebody else's needs above your own, then you're essentially trying to eliminate the idea here that the man is the leader. You realize that, right?
No, I'm not. I'm not
Okay.
saying that he shouldn't have the final say, but I'm saying when he makes that final say, it shouldn't just take into account his own needs or his own desires.
Okay, well,
So it shouldn't only benefit him. So in other words, he shouldn't use that leadership position as like a, kind of a tyranny type, well, it benefits me to, like, for example, I watched this couple in church once argue that she was like, you spent $700 on a gaming chair or something with like all these gimmicks and speakers, but you wouldn't let me buy a hair dryer. And and they bickered about that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like it comes across like, because we're flawed humans and we have this tendency to sin and put our selfish needs above those of others, sometimes giving someone a leadership position can kind of come across to them as kind of heady, like, oh, then I can basically just tell her to shut up and do what I want. And I'm saying Christ modeled a type of leadership where, even though he's leading, he's still not leading selfishly. He's leading in a way that benefits his wife. And then obviously, yes, the wife is doing everything she can to support him. Like the Proverbs 31 woman,
well,
she's making him look good in
up
public.
Okay, this brings up a conundrum, though, and I'd like to ask you the conundrum, if you don't mind. I've asked many women this, and perhaps you will be the one finally, without evading, without changing the subject, because this is the subject we're now talking about. You brought it up. I would like you to actually answer the question this time, please. So here's the conundrum. Man buys Xbox. Woman also wants some other frivolous shit that's not an Xbox, and they're the same price. Man decides to buy the Xbox and not buy her frivolous shit. His reasoning is, listen, my job is super hard, okay? And because it's super hard, I want to have this entertainment time because I think it's going to benefit not just me, but everybody. She says, no. I also would like to have whatever this frivolous shit is over here because I think that's the best thing and that will benefit everybody. Who do we defer to?
I bet those glasses make you see better.